What's going on? Try to start this up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
What? What is...
For Christ before Jesus.
No, hey, Daddy's talking.
With your host,
Okay, well, say hi to your mom for me, so...
Jaron Wingo.
No, it's not a thing.
So sit back, tap the screen, and get your mythicism on.
Just to feel alive again, pushing forward through the night, aching just to lower side. It's so far away.
What is going on, everybody?
It's so far
What is going on? Yeah, what is going on, everybody? Yeah, it's time. It's time to get it going. It is time to get it going. We've got let's see here. We've got all kinds of things going on right now. We're supposed to be, I believe we are. I think we are. Over on YouTube as well. So if anybody, pretty sure we're on YouTube as well. Should be. But yeah, hopefully we are going on TikTok and YouTube right now, trying to dual stream there. If you have any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. I want to hear from you. Oh yeah, there we go. It's live on YouTube. There's not really anybody over there, but yeah, that's perfectly fine. We got Doc Bach 3643 over there on YouTube, so that's nice. Hey Doc, how's it going? Other than that, though, we're here. Man, I don't know what's going on. I think it might just be. I don't know what that is. Let me see if I can get the title moved over just slightly. Maybe that'll help. Maybe. We'll see. That should work. Anyways, what's going on, everybody? Hey, look at the pics. Okay. All right. I think there are definitely different people's phones. They come across it comes across different. King 3D said, "Go debate Kent Hovind." All right, well that's hey, gospel according to Matt. I came over from TikTok. Oh well, thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, people are over on TikTok. People are over on YouTube. It's all over the place. What's going on, everybody? Oh, wait. Kent Hovind is live right now. Why? Saying what? For what reason? That's weird. What? Wes Ham? Who is Wes Ham? Is that Ken Ham and Wes Huff's little boy? You look so handsome. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gospel according to Matt. And also, there it is. What's going on? Let's see. Unnamed Hero 44 there on TikTok says, is the stylo on individual chapter level or the entire book? It's different sections. If you take a look at it depends. We can run it at the chapter level. We've also run it at the duo chapter, tri-chapter, and quadra-chapter level, where we run like 4 chapters at a time. In the book, we also run like the book of Romans, or like the Roman epistle, the Romans. We run it at like, I think it's different. We chop it into like 3 or 4 pieces. So I mean, it's huge chunks that we're running, which far exceed any kind of arbitrary requirements that a lot of people have tried to place on like stylometry and everything in the last couple of years, like talking about like the work that we do and everything. So it's pretty wild. The Dr. Eater has the person behind the scholar, the mathematician behind the distance formulas that we use there in stylometry, has stated that he gets good results with as little as about 100 words, less than 500 words at least. So I mean, it's pretty obvious that this can work. There's a pinned video on my TikTok specifically showing 100% accuracy even at the 100 to 130 word level. So it's really good. Like it's really good. There's some people. It's a couple. Their last name is Gorman. The Gormans actually run Stellometry a lot, and they've got their accuracy down to 50 words. So 50 word files are even coming up for them. Now, of course, they run rolling stylo, which is a bit more of like a supervised kind of method, but nevertheless, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. The requirements that people have claimed that you need like thousands and stuff like that is just bullshit. But anyways, taking a quick look at the chat, Mirden said 7th. I'm not really sure about that. Dalt said anything else. I don't know what that means. Let me see. Are there more? No. Over on YouTube, we got the gospel according to Matt said, "I'm on both." Nice. Pokegorami says, "Why not both?" How are you listening to both TikTok and YouTube? And yes, we are streaming on both TikTok and YouTube right now. How is that possible? Jonathan Baptiste says, "Have you been peer reviewed? Has the Bible been peer reviewed? Have any of the claims for Jesus been peer reviewed? Is that how that works?" Phone and computer. Oh, well, yeah, well, I guess that works. I like how I got that message on both TikTok and YouTube there from Matt, so that's pretty cool. All right, we do have a guest. And by the way, if you're on YouTube and you're like, hey, how do I talk to this guy? How do I actually present evidence and stuff like that? Hop over to TikTok, tiktok.com/@ChristBeforeJesus. Request up. We now have a guest, Dig. How is it going, Dig?
Going good. I wanted to say that if you look at every historical scholar, if you look at the consensus
Every
of people,
scholar,
they're
is that what you said?
basically going, what?
Every scholar? Is that what you're saying?
You know, people who study history facts and whatnot.
Oh, history. I thought you meant like a religious scholar. Okay.
No.
Okay.
If you look at those and what they have said, and if you look at the evidence that they have, they literally
what?
state that Jesus and Paul did
Historians
exist.
don't usually get into that. That'd be more of a religious scholar.
No, historians do get into it. They
Okay.
admit that
Please
Jesus
name one
and
historian
Paul were
scholar
real
who says
people.
something about Jesus.
Every single one of them just
I'd
have
like
a
for you.
different
I'd like for you to
picture of
mention. I'd like for you to name a historical scholar who talks about Jesus and not like a religious scholar.
I think there was a guy named Matt. I don't know, but just search it up yourself. I'm not too well versed in this because I mostly based my arguments.
Yeah, so
With,
historians generally, like you came in here
just wanted
saying
to point this
every
out.
historian scholar, or every history scholar, and while yeah, I'm sure there's some at least that say it, most historians will refer you to a religious scholar when talking about Jesus. Jesus is part of more of an ecclesiastical history as opposed
That's
to an
because
actual
back
ancient
then,
history.
all the scholars were religious.
What does that have to do with scholars today?
Because you're saying that that they would always point back to scholars that were very religious.
No,
But
that's not
that's
what I'm saying. I'm saying if you asked a historian today, what can you tell me about Jesus? Like, get into detail about that. They would generally say, hey, go talk to a religious scholar about this, like a scholar who actually researches like religion, like Christianity.
Because the Bible is one of the most historically accurate books.
No, a historian would absolutely not tell you that.
I don't know what to say. If you don't want to believe it,
Well, it's not a
that's
matter
not-
of believing it. It's a matter of you just pulling something out of your ass. There's very few historians who would tell you, if any, who would tell you that the Bible is the most historically accurate book. That doesn't even make any sense.
I never said the most. I said one of the most.
It's not even one of the most. I mean,
Yes,
it's
it
really
is.
not. No,
It
there's
has
problems
a bunch
throughout
of
all of.
facts, and every single time they go.
There's not a
deeper into
single.
history,
There's not
they
a
find,
single book
that
of the
it was
Bible.
right
There's not
about
a single
bunch
book of the Bible where the author tells you his name or cites his sources when talking about historical stories. Like the only things that even give names are generally going to be like
The New
either
Testament?
poetry or epistles. But like the actual stories, like say First and Second Samuel, First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles, Even fucking the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. These texts, which talk about stories in the past, or are trying to talk about stories in the past, or try to say that stories happened before the authors are writing, they never say who the authors are, and they never cite their sources. So no, that not at all.
I
And
cannot
they
give
make
you a
mistake after
reason
mistake.
for I cannot tell you why they never put their names there.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
what
can tell
historians
you
did
is
back
that-
then.
But what I can tell you is that you need to look at this about what the scholars say, rather
Mhm.
than coming to a conclusion without putting any research in.
I definitely have researched. What do you think the scholars say? What do you think the evidence they point to for
All right,
Jesus
let's
is?
go ahead and
What? Is he still? Can anybody hear him? Dig, you there? Oh, okay, Dig, you're back. All right.
yeah, I was yeah, I thought it carried on, but yeah, I just searched it up on Google. Yeah,
Okay,
it says
so
right
what
there.
what are the?
It tells you is that yes, historic scholars and biblical scholars believe Jesus was a real person.
Okay, so what's the evidence they point to? That's what you were trying to find there.
Yeah. There was one that said about a cave where it started, where there was a picture of a man being crucified with a donkey head, and
Okay.
under it said, "Here lies the King of the Jews," or something about the King of the Jews. I remember seeing it a while ago. I don't
Oh,
exactly remember.
Oh,
what it
okay.
said.
So, no, that's not a thing.
Yes, it is. Have you-
No, the Alexamenos graffito is what you're talking about. That dates to about the 3rd century, and it doesn't say anything about the King of the Jews, nor does it say Jesus, Christ, or Christians.
All right, then what did it say? Because
So
like
all
I
it
said,
says is,
forgot
I can tell you right now what it says. It says Alexamenos worships his God. That's all that it says.
And what does Alexis Menos mean?
That's a name.
I don't know. How do you know that's not like the name of the one of the people who were being crucified because of their beliefs or something? I'm
You
not
think
exactly
Alexamenos
sure.
is the
All
one
I'm
with the
saying-
donkey head?
Yeah. I think it was a donkey head.
So
'cause,
Alexamenos is the one being crucified?
Oh, now I think I get it. Okay. So, what it could have been is the person who created that was actually making fun of their friend of praising the person who got crucified. I think. I'm not exactly too
There's
sure.
no evidence whatsoever that that's making fun of him.
Well, I mean, like you got a guy with the donkey head that's being crucified.
You do realize that the Egyptians worshipped
this
gods
guy-
with animal faces, right?
Yeah, but there was also.
I mean, does that mean that
donkey
anybody
heads
who's
and stuff.
depicted as worshiping Osiris or Anubis is being made fun of?
Isn't Anubis a dog, not a donkey?
Are you aware that there are certain scholars that think this is the face of a jackal and not a donkey?
Like I said, it's I don't remember every detail, so
I'm aware. It sounds like you
Yeah.
don't remember a lot of details about it. But nevertheless,
Yeah,
that's
I
not
only
evidence
knew-
for Jesus. That would just, at best, be evidence of Christians in the 3rd century. I'm well aware that there's Christians in the 3rd century.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying that you need to pay attention to what the
I
what
just
the
told
people-
you about what your argument was better than you did. And I'm the one who has to pay attention?
Yeah, because I did pay attention, but then I forgot it. You can't.
Yeah, and I
That's like
corrected you, but I don't pay attention?
Yeah.
I'm the one who needs to pay attention, and I was able to
Paying
correct you?
attention and having a memory about something.
Cool.
I had a
So
memory
why?
about something.
That's sweet, but why are you telling me to pay attention if my memory about something is better than yours?
Because those are two different things.
So what do I need to pay attention to? What? Tell
You
me.
need to pay
Tell me what.
attention
What?
to the
What?
people who are actually reliable. Like Like, pick a scholar and go ahead and research.
I mean, what scholar told you that it said King of the Jews below this? It sounds like you need to pay attention to actually what you're looking at and not misremember things and then pull them out of your ass later on in an argument.
Misremembering things is different than
Paying attention?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I started stumbling on words.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I've been stumbling through this whole thing. I can't imagine why you'd trip over words. So the issue here is that there hasn't been any evidence that you have presented for Jesus here. I mean, you've talked about scholars. You told me to pay attention. You told me to research it. And then you mentioned one thing that the scholars kind of point to and depicted it in a really weird way.
A bunch of, if I remember this correctly, there were also a bunch of letters from the Apostle Paul to other apostles, and a bunch of them were talking about each other to each other, and they found out from the
about each other to each other. Sweet. What letters do we have to Paul?
Like I said, I don't know every detail.
No, well, in this particular case, are you aware of any letters that we have to Paul?
I think there was one for
No.
Paul.
Already wrong. No, there's none.
John.
There are no letters to Paul. None whatsoever.
I'm not too sure because I remember
I
there
am
was
very
definitely
sure. There's no letters to Paul.
about some of the apostles.
No, it's not a thing.
All right.
So it sounds like you need to pay attention.
Like I said, there's a difference between paying attention and having memory.
It sounds like you need both
I
of
only
those.
paid attention to those little snippets because those are what came across to my thing. But I'm not researching it.
It sounds like you're not doing any research whatsoever. It sounds like you don't even really know what's in the Bible.
Schoolwork. I have schoolwork. I'm 17.
You're not even supposed to be up here.
Well, it's because you didn't put a age block or verification
TikTok
to join.
itself told you that you can't be up here with being 18. Did you not read that either? Did you not pay attention to the TOS?
Well, if it did say
Sounds
that,
like you don't like to read, and it sounds like you don't like to pay attention. We're going to move on to somebody whose IQ is above room temperature. Thanks for coming up. All right. You're 17. You still got time to get out of it. Gospel according to Matt over there on YouTube says, there are no letters to Paul. Oops. And that is very true. We don't have any letters to Paul. None. Actually, no one outside of Christians ever mentions Paul, and no one, even in Christianity, mentions Paul prior to about 144. Next person up, we've got God is number 34712.
What's up, buddy?
What is going on? What you got?
Man, so I'm going to be quick because I'm not really with or against you on this. I really don't care if they exist or not.
Well, then why'd you come up?
Because I want to explain something about why Jesus and Paul are even important to the theology of Christianity at all.
Well, I understand why they're important to it. I mean, they're in the book. But nevertheless, we're talking about whether or not they existed. If you don't have a stance either way, I mean, you can ask some questions. Otherwise, we can just go.
I do think that historically they could have existed.
Okay.
But the thing about it is if they did or they didn't, what their actions are is Jesus is too perfect. Paul is the counterweight to Jesus's perfection. Nothing more, nothing less. Paul just humanizes it from an intellectual standpoint.
Jesus is too perfect? What are you talking about?
The way they portray Jesus is the miracles, the perfection,
It's almost like being a son of God comes along with, divinity.
Exactly, right? But that storyline itself, it can't be humanized. The only way it can be humanized...
If neither one of them existed, then, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, that's the worst part because humans are great at making narratives, aren't we? We're so
Pretty good at it.
Too good at it. But I'm not with or against you, bro. I just wanted to point out why Paul is even important is because he humanizes what Jesus did. That's it. And
unless he didn't exist, in which case he doesn't do that.
Then it's a storyline that's brainwashed everybody. Absolutely.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you for coming up there. I think Alexa might have an opinion either way, but thank you for coming up.
Yes, sir.
All right, Alexa, what is that? Altamirano? Altamirano? I think maybe. I have no idea. What you got?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, why mute?
Why mute
Because
what?
I was chatting. Well, let me finish my sentence if you can.
Well,
Why
why
mute
were you
me?
muted?
Why mute me?
Because I was
Why
talking
mute
to the
me in
first
the
guy.
comments?
Oh, in the
Why
comments?
mute me? Oh my God, let me finish.
All right. First of all, I don't care. I really don't. You were muted on the panel because I was talking to somebody prior. You were muted in the chat because you probably did something. I didn't mute you. I don't really mute people in the chat very often unless it's like a joke.
It did say
But-
that you muted me for like a while, which
No,
is
you
insane
have
because
been
I mean
muted.
it is a debate.
Okay. Well, you're not debating unless you're up here on the panel, which you're on the panel now, so let's debate and stop complaining about the meta. You probably got muted in the chat because a mod was sick and tired of your shit down there. And that's fine. I don't know what you said. I've never talked to you. I didn't know you existed until you popped up onto the panel. But please, the mods are doing their job down there, and they do a great job. So let's not talk about why you got muted or anything like that. I don't really care. You're up here now.
Okay, so my question is, you believe in God?
What does that have to do with whether or not Jesus and Paul existed?
So can you just answer my question? Is it too hard to answer yes or
No,
no?
it's not too hard. It's
How?
irrelevant. Because does my belief change the past?
No.
Okay, well then either Jesus and Paul existed in the past or they didn't. Either we have evidence or we don't. My belief, my religion, your belief, your religion, Kevin down the street's belief or religion, that doesn't matter.
So my question is, do you believe in God?
Sweet. So again, I'm telling you that's irrelevant because as you just
So you
admitted,
can't answer the question.
no, it's
You
not that
can't.
I can't answer it. It's that it doesn't have anything to do with the topic because you just said that my belief or religion does not change the past. Give me evidence that these people existed in the past or get off the panel. That's how
No,
it works.
I mean just answer the question because that contradicts.
What's your social
beliefs.
security
That's why you
number?
can't. That's why you can't answer.
What's your social security
Because you
number?
know that God is Jesus.
No, you got that from the New Testament, and unless you can prove that Jesus existed, then I'm not going to accept that he was God. That being said, what's your social security number? Go ahead, answer that question, because I guess we're okay with asking irrelevant questions.
111225. There you go.
That's
So,
not
have
enough
you
numbers,
read-
and you should know that.
Have you read the Old Testament?
Yeah. So the reason you didn't answer that question is because it's irrelevant. So let's try to lock
It's
in.
not
there.
irrelevant.
All right, Alexa, I need you to be a big girl now. Lock in and just stick on topic. Let's try
Telling
that.
me to be a big girl is
Yeah.
very irrelevant, actually. Super irrelevant.
No,
You-
because you're being a baby right now and you're crying. Can we get some milk in the chat there on YouTube and on TikTok just to let her
Let's
know that
get
she's
some
being
milk.
a little bit of a baby? All right, so please lock in, stay on topic, give me evidence for Jesus or Paul, or ask me for evidence why they didn't exist. One of those two.
Definitely. So I'm asking you, do you believe in God in order for me to get evidence? Stop muting me.
Do you
Be a big boy, take your medication, take your milk.
All right. See all those milks? There's some milks on YouTube. There's some milks there on TikTok. So yeah. And we'll just kind of leave those out there for you. So it's going to be nice and lukewarm for you. Help you go to sleep later. All right. Let's see. There's still milk on YouTube. Jesus Christ. All right. No, it's not that I got offended. It's that you weren't logging in and actually being on topic. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, now that I see you there in chat, Alexa, you were probably muted for just a small amount of time. Now you're going to be muted for the entire live. Let's try that. All right. So if you want to come back up, just be a big girl, request back up, and we'll bring you back up. You got to get right back in line. But I will have a conversation with you, but you're going to have to actually stay on topic. So really quick to Barry. What's going on, Barry?
Hello. First things first, I want to apologize for everybody's been on here.
Nah,
Kind
don't
of
worry about it.
annoying.
What you got?
Why do you think that Jesus and Paul did not exist?
Because the stories of Jesus and Paul, even the natural ones, as presented in the New Testament, as well as the Quran and the Book of Mormon, do not line up with first century history, archaeology, geography, contemporaries of the time, we can see that the elements that go into these stories existed prior to Christianity, whether that be supernatural or natural stories or even the teachings.
Okay. Where did you get your sources from?
The Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Quran.
Okay. Fair enough. So to prove that these two existed, we would have to go straight outside of the Bible.
Why?
And I was doing some research because we're trying to see if they were actually real people, not what they did.
Okay, keep going.
And it says virtually all scholars agree that Jesus was a real historical figure.
Okay.
And he lived in the first century, right?
Sweet. What's their evidence?
And this is... Pardon?
Sweet. What's their evidence?
Okay. These are from what does it call it? Artifacts found, like historical documents found in Rome. This is from ancient Rome when they were I'm pretty sure it was a couple hundred, no, like 70 years ago. They were searching up in they were digging up ancient Rome, and they found some documents that documented the existence of Christ. And also Rome, back in ancient Rome, they used to, every single crucifixion they used to document the people who did get crucified.
Mm-hmm.
And they did find those documents proving that Jesus did get crucified back in Rome.
Okay. And what are these documents?
I don't know the name. If you want, I can find it for you.
Go ahead. All right, Barry, what you got? What'd you find?
Oh, hold up.
Uh-oh. It doesn't sound like you're finding much.
Yeah.
And what did you wager?
Pardon?
And what was your wager? It was... Sorry, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. All right, what is going on? Wow. Something... What does that say? Vampire?
Capra.
Okay, we'll go with that. Cop something.
Capra. Yeah, no,
What'd you
you
got?
said it right. So I grew up in a very Christian household, Orthodox Christian. And to me, it's just like I drove away from it when I was around 19 years old. I'm now 29. And I totally see your point. It's more like a question that I've got for you, because I get the vibe that you might be the right kind of guy to ask such a question. How do you deal with first early depiction of Jesus, like people who saw him firsthand, like eyewitnesses of his existence? What do you think about those?
We don't have any testimony from anyone who says
We
that they saw him.
absolutely do. One of the
Like
very
what?
first depict. I'm gonna show it to you just a second. One of the very first depiction of Jesus is actually found in Rome, and it's
Are they
from,
depictions as in like artwork, or are you mentioning just like
Yes,
mentioning it?
exactly. Artwork.
Oh, this is not going to
It's
end well.
it's very very old depiction of a guy making fun, and again, I do see your point, as in Paul and Jesus never existed.
Did you not
He
hear
never
us
existed.
discussing this exact same thing earlier, about maybe 10 minutes before you?
No, he was talking about documents.
No,
Not-
not
it's
the guy
different.
before you. A couple people before you. It's
Oh,
the
no, I was
Alexamenos
just- I
graffito
just-
is what you're talking about.
Yes, yes. And like, what do
Yeah,
you
that
think
dates
about
to
that?
like the 3rd century or the end of the 2nd. And it doesn't say anything about Jesus, Christ, or Christianity.
But it says worshiping his God
Okay.
with the picture of. Do you think that like that's relevant as a proof
No.
of the existence of Jesus?
Why would it be? Not only is it later, even if it is Jesus, who cares? Okay, cool. Someone in the 3rd century is a Christian. Breaking
I'm
news,
not- I'm not-
everybody.
I'm
Stop
not
the
here to
presses.
be-
Someone in
I'm
the
not
3rd
here to
century is a
debate
Christian.
I'm not here to debate you at all because I do.
But you had said that this is something
think,
about
like-
eyewitness. Where are we getting eyewitness out of this?
Well, like, of course, they like the way this whole thing was portrayed, and to me, it is entirely false. The way this whole thing was portrayed, basically, people was going around saying, "Oh, these are eyewitnesses of Jesus," and what is told in the Bible,
Wait.
as well as the apostles and
wait,
everything.
Hold on. What are you talking about?
Yes.
What does this have to do with the graffito?
But the graffiti literally says. This guy worshiping his God as is mocking him, literally.
That's not
and there's
mocking him.
Jesus-
Why is it mocking him? People worship gods with all kinds of faces. Have you not seen the Egyptian
It has
gods?
the head of a donkey. Maybe we're not talking about the same.
No,
it
we
has
are.
the
It's
head
the
of a donkey.
Alexamenos graffito. And by the way, some scholars believe that that's the face of a jackal, which Anubis much? Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Well, but
like, there's no evidence
is it
whatsoever
like-
that this is like anything that is mocking them.
But, I mean, worshiping his God with a head of a jackal or a donkey. I mean, it doesn't really look like to me that they were happy with it.
What do you mean happy with it?
mean,
How do you know
the
what the
way,
response is? Is there something else that says "fuck you, man"? That's not my
No,
guy.
because I don't know. No, because I don't know it. And since I see that you're a guy that clearly you do know your sources, you do know what you're talking about. To me, it was a question. I'm not here to debate you at all. It was literally a question. What do you think about that when it gets portrayed to
It
people
has nothing
nowadays?
to do with eyewitnesses. You brought up a question. You said, "What do you do with the eyewitness testimony?" And then you brought up something that's so far after the eyewitnesses that the great grandparents of whoever carved that wouldn't have been alive to see Jesus. So what are you talking about?
Yeah,
How
no,
does that have anything to do with
it's
the eyewitness
Sorry.
thing?
Sorry, no, maybe it was me who I put the question in the wrong way, maybe. But when it comes to people saying, "Oh, the apostles or the people who were mocking Jesus, they are eyewitnesses of him, like they saw him alive." This is what I mean. So, what do you say when people tell you, "Oh, but they're eyewitnesses of that period, that time," and that people
I
can
do
believe
what
them
I'm
because they're
doing with you
eyewitnesses?
because you said we have eyewitnesses, and I'm saying where. That's how I deal with it because you
Well, in
said
the Bible, it does say. I mean, the
What do
Bible.
you mean? What
we
do I
have,
do when people say it? It's happening right now, my dude. You said we have it, and I'm saying where. This is exactly how I. This is exactly
in
what
the
I do
Bible,
whenever I'm
there's-
faced with this
I'm sorry.
comment.
In the Bible, there's people that clearly said what Jesus did. They were walking with him.
Where do they say that? Where does the author of any of the Gospels say I was there walking with him? Hell, 2 of the Gospels
In
that are in the
the-
canon aren't even disciples.
No, no, this is not true. In the
What are you talking about?
Orthodox
Wait,
Bible-
I want
in
you to
the-
give me the
in the
names. I
Orthodox-
want you to give me the names
in the
of
Bible.
I want
in
you
the
to
Bible,
give me the names
John
of
was
the.
alongside with
Listen,
Mary
listen,
the
we're-
whole time.
We're okay. I will get to that in just a moment. I want you to give me the names of the 4 Gospels in the New Testament canon.
I don't give a fuck, man. I have no idea.
Well, I
haven't
just
been
said
listening to that
said
stuff
2
for
of them are
years.
said to not even be disciples, and then you said that's not true. So I want you to give me the
No, I
reason
said
why.
to what is not true. I said that you said there's no eyewitnesses of Jesus,
Okay.
seeing Jesus.
Well, where
at the
does it
time.
say in the Gospel of John that it's written by John?
Wait a second. I'm going to find it to you. Just a second.
All right. Yes, please. You know what I'm going to do, right?
J.R. Yes, I love it. I love it. You do that. I know it. I know it. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so
what'd you find?
referring to the school of Golgotha, the place where Jesus was
This is not gonna
supposed to
be
be.
good.
Just let me finish. Let me have my 50 minutes of fame. Just allow me. So it is said that he stood at the foot of the cross
Where
with
does it
Mary
say
the
that that
whole
guy's
time.
the guy who's writing it?
Why should it be?
You said it was an eyewitness testimony. So how do
It
you know?
is.
How do you know that? No, it's not. Where does it say? Where does the author say I was there? Where does
It
the
doesn't-
author
it
say my
doesn't
name is
matter
John?
if he said- But does it matter if he said I was there? He wrote it.
How do you know? Where does it say it?
I don't. Of course. I mean, of course, you gotta believe. I mean, it is faith. It's all about. But
Oh, okay.
I
So-
cannot say that.
The evidence for Jesus is the fact that we have eyewitness testimony. The evidence for eyewitness testimony is my feelings. What? What are you talking about?
Okay. No, I'm gonna follow you because I really, really love your attitude. I adore it.
I mean, what? Do you not see the problem with this logic here?
No,
There's
do.
no evidence that it's an
100%,
eyewitness
I do.
testimony, but the eyewitness testimony is the evidence for Jesus. So therefore, Jesus lived.
No, but I do. I just sometimes I pop up into your life and I see things now. It was kind of long, talking to you. I love your attitude, followed you, and again, I believe that at the end of the day, I believe you're right.
I don't even know. All right, what's going on, Hans?
Yo.
Yeah.
So
What'd you get?
why do you think that? Why do you think that Jesus did not exist?
Because the stories, even the natural ones, presented in the New Testament, the Quran and the Book of Mormon do not line up with first century Judea, archaeology, geography, contemporaries, history, that kind of thing.
How so?
Because we actually have contemporaries to the first century who talk about Judea and talk about the particular area in a way that is very different from how Jesus is presented.
Okay, name me name me some stories that don't line up with the Judea. Can you give me evidence?
Yeah, sure. Jesus is from Nazareth, but there's no evidence whatsoever that Nazareth was a place. The Old Testament doesn't mention Nazareth. No Apocrypha, Jewish Apocrypha mentions Nazareth. New Testament books mention Nazareth. No maps, no list mention Nazareth. Josephus, who is from Galilee, born in 37, mentions the town next to it, Sepphoris, that is only a few acres large. He mentions it multiple times in multiple books, never mentions anything even close to Nazareth. Yeah, but yet the New Testament presents Nazareth as a place that's big enough to have a synagogue, enough men to mob Jesus. It also depicts it as a place that has a cliff, which doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Also, it's so famous that people shit talk it. In the Gospel of John, someone says, "What good can come from Nazareth?" Or I think that's actually in one of the synoptics.
All right, so you don't even believe that Nazareth, this city existed?
Correct. It's not even mentioned in the Mishnah nor the Talmud. Either one of them.
All right. Okay. Can you? Okay. You got this one. But can you give me something more? I don't have anything to argument back against this Nazareth thing.
right.
But can you name me something else?
Is that okay? Well,
Yeah,
it
evidence.
explicitly says in the Gospel of Matthew that Jesus is supposed to be from Nazareth to fulfill a prophecy that said that he would be a Nazarene. It's not even a term in the Old Testament. Nazarene isn't in the Old Testament. Nazareth isn't in the Old Testament.
Okay.
So I mean, what do you want me to do with this? This is pretty damning. I mean, his hometown didn't even exist. I mean, how? I mean.
Do you have evidence that did not exist?
If the only evidence for Michael Jordan is the idea that he played for Chicago Bulls, and then you find out Chicago doesn't even exist, that's pretty damning, right?
No, but you don't have any evidence that did not exist, though. You're just saying that there's no evidence,
Oh,
but
we don't
you
have
cannot
any.
disprove.
Whenever we actually dig into ancient Nazareth, we don't have anything that predates potentially about 70 or so. There's nothing to actually date it to that time period. And what I'm saying is that the way that the New Testament presents it does not line up with what we know about history. That's the problem.
But why do you think that everyone like says Nazareth? You know, why
Why
everyone
do I
knows that
think?
city? Like
Like, why
that's
do I think
you
that
know.
he's connected to Nazareth? Is that what you're asking?
No, like everyone knows that Nazareth did exist, you know, in ancient times. Like everyone knows that. Why do you
Ancient
think
times,
that?
sure, but not during the time that Jesus was supposedly alive, which is the beginning of the 1st century. We don't see any evidence for it really being utilized until after 70, and this would be the time that people left Jerusalem and went to like the more surrounding areas around Jerusalem because of the First Jewish-Roman War.
All right, but do you believe, do you agree on that? Like historians like agree that Jesus was crucified and existed, like back then.
Scholars tend to say that.
No,
Sure.
historians.
Historians will generally point you to
Yeah.
a religious scholar, and religious scholars tend to say that. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the problem?
There's no evidence for it, so I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what someone's opinion is.
You can check out one historian that wrote letters 100 years after Jesus' death.
Who is
You
this?
can check it out right now. It's Romanian historian Tacitus writing 116 years after Christ.
116
You can check it
years
out.
after Christ.
Roman historian
So he's writing
Tacitus.
in the 140s?
116.
Oh, you said
16 years
116
after.
years after Jesus.
Yeah, you can check it out
So
right
the
now.
140s?
I write in the chat his exact name.
No,
Tacitus.
that's fine. Why are you saying after Jesus? Tacitus didn't live
AD,
140
you know,
years
like
after
116 years AD. 116 years after AD.
Jesus. Yeah, that's what we're
know,
trying to get at there.
after Christ.
What do you think AD means?
After Christ.
You think AD stands for after Christ?
Yeah.
How do you get that?
Can you like check it out? I gave you evidence.
Sweet. So what does AD mean?
Why are you running?
Why am I running? I'm asking you a question. What does AD mean?
I gave you literally the evidence. Can you like check it out now?
I'm well aware, and we're going to get into that. Just wait to turn the other cheek, buddy. At this point right now, we're talking about the really basic juvenile elementary fact that you don't know what AD means.
Okay, give me. What's the AD?
It means
What
Anno
the AD
Domini
means? All right.
or Anno Domini.
Can you now check it out, please?
Cool. So what do you think Anno Domini
Tacitus.
or Anno Domini means?
What? Why you keep asking me these questions, bro? Can you check it out, bro?
Because we need to make sure that we're on the same page with the most basic of points before I absolutely wreck your idea of what Tacitus does.
Okay, Anno Domini. Okay.
Okay, what
about
do you
it?
think that means?
Let me check that out real quick. Okay. Domini means in the year of our Lord.
Okay, so it doesn't mean after his death or anything. Is that correct?
No, but can you like check it out, bro? I keep saying that like
slow down.
5
So
times.
when it says that Tacitus wrote Annals, Book 15, Section 44, which is what you're talking about, in 116, that means it's in 116, the year 116, not 116 years after his death. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do. But
Okay,
like, can you please check it out?
Sweet. So I have checked it out. That's how I was able to tell you exactly what the book was called and what book of that book I'm referring
But
to.
what did he write then? What
What he
like,
wrote
this
about
guy
was
write?
the Christians being blamed for the fire in Rome in 64 by Nero and then admitting guilt to it because they're domestic terrorists. And then unalivements were made and punishments and arrests were made after that.
But like he wrote about people who were like getting killed for being Christian. You know,
No, they're
and
not being unalive
that's
for being
evidence.
Christian. That's not the case. Have you not read it?
No, but like I know that he wrote about Christ, which like is pretty like big
Cool. So
evidence.
that part has been interpolated into, which is sometime between the beginning of the 3rd century to the 5th century. The first time that that's mentioned is in the early 400s by Sepulchre Severus, a Christian author or a Christian church father, kind of, sort of. The first time that it's alluded to is by Tertullian in 200. He's the first Christian who wrote in Latin, and he alludes to Tacitus and said, consult your history books or read your history books. We were blamed for the fire in Rome, and he talks about the punishments, but never mentions that Tacitus says anything about Jesus because he didn't initially. That is something that is added in later. There's actually
All right.
multiple scholars who had already kind of sniffed that out. You can read their paper on Brill if you really want to. But nevertheless, the line itself that talks about Christ being unalive during the reign of Emperor Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate, this is riddled with a whole bunch of errors. See, it says Christians with an E when it talks about the group, and it tries to say in this line that they got their name from Christ with an I, which wouldn't make any sense. Christ is also not a name, it's a title, so it wouldn't be on any arrest record or crucifixion record. I'd also like to point out that it calls Pontius Pilate a procurator when he was actually a prefect. Judea didn't even have a procurator until the decade after Pilate was dismissed in 36.
All right, so I just named the evidence, but you just like don't accept it, even though I
It's
gave you.
not that I don't accept it.
literally
It's that it's
historical
very
evidence.
no. The problem is the fact that it's something that has been added later, so it's not evidence. It's just something that a Christian wrote. I don't really give a shit.
All right, all right. Okay, here's the other one. This is like Jewish evidence. Another
You're
historical
about to
evidence.
mention Flavius
You can check.
Josephus, and this is going to be even easier to debunk. I don't think you want to do
Fla-
that.
Flavius Josephus, yeah,
Mhm.
writing in 93 AD. He
Okay.
was not a Christian. He was not a Christian though. He was
Oh
a
yes,
pagan.
please.
But he wrote.
He's a
No,
pagan.
listen.
A Jewish person who's
No,
a pagan.
he was pagan. Yeah, he was pagan. He was not Christian. But
Wait,
look.
hold up. I
So
thought
he
you said he
wrote.
was Jewish.
No,
Is he Jewish or pagan?
He wrote about.
Listen.
He was Jewish,
we're
but
gonna-
like he was not Christian.
Okay,
He
cool.
was not Christian.
So he's Jewish. This not Christian. Okay, cool. This is
Yeah,
not
he
going
was
to
not
go.
Christian.
You're literally digging your own grave right now. You don't know it. Stop talking, but keep going.
He was not
Please.
Christian. I told you like five
What
times.
you
I told you
you've
5
hammered
times
that
straight.
home, and it's not. It's gonna come around and bite you in the ass. But please keep going.
What? He was not Christian. What's the problem?
Okay.
Okay. So he was not a Christian. He was
Yeah,
Jewish,
okay.
but
You
he
mentioned that
wrote
6 times.
he wrote about he wrote about Jesus' brother.
Mm-hmm.
His name was James, and he was crucified, and
No, it doesn't say
which
anything
means
about
that
crucifixion there.
Jesus was.
No, James
Says
is not crucified.
it does.
No. Neither James nor Jesus are crucified in that passage. You're talking about Antiquities of the Jews, book 20, chapter 9, section 1. You're not, nowhere in there does it say anything about crucifixion. You should know that if you're
But it
looking at
says about it. It says about Christ though.
No, it tells you exactly who that
It
Jesus
does?
is at the end of the passage. It says Jesus, son of Damnius. He becomes high
Okay,
priest in
so
the
what's the
60s.
problem? Why don't you believe that Jesus existed?
Because that's Jesus, son of Damnius in the early 60s. Jesus of the Bible died in the early 30s, and he was the son of Joseph, not Damnius.
But Christ was like Christ. This name was
That's not a
like
name.
brought up in that passage.
Yeah, that's probably a marginal note. If it's not, well, Christ could also mean anointed. It's literally used in the Septuagint multiple times to talk about high priests.
Okay, but like okay, here's my biggest like evidence that like everyone knows, you know, disciples. His
There's
disciples.
no evidence that the disciples
well,
even lived.
there was no evidence for anyone who lived in the history. But,
That's not even remotely
but
close to true.
eyewitnesses.
You just talked about a guy who you called pagan and Jewish and not Christian. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
did.
there is evidence that people existed back then, but there's no evidence that any of the 13 disciples that are mentioned in the New Testament ever existed.
But how did Julius Caesar existed, for example?
He was
There
born.
was writings. There was writings about Julius Caesar 400 years after his death.
That's not
but
how we know that
after
he
Christ,
existed.
It is actually everyone
It is
believes
not.
that Julius
That's
Caesar.
not how we know
So
that
you don't
Julius
believe
Caesar
that
existed.
Julius Caesar existed. You don't believe
I
that he
didn't say
existed.
that. I said that's not how we determine that Julius Caesar existed. You're just kind of pointing to one little thing for some reason.
No, but like my point is same that there's no evidence for Julius Caesar, and but
There is
everyone
evidence for
knows that.
Julius Caesar.
Okay, give me one.
The coins, busts, and statues that date to his lifetime with his face, which is how we know exactly what he fucking looked like. Congratulations. You proving that you're stupid in two different cultures.
No, but there's no evidence for his like
There
existence.
is. In fact, we have his actual signatures.
How do you know that that he's like his signatures? How do you know that?
Even if you don't, we still have coins, statues, and busts that radiometrically date to his lifetime that he posed for because they all have his depiction. That's how we know what he looks like. Characters that we get like busts for that look different, vastly different every time we get like any kind of artwork for them, that's how we know that they're either made later on or potentially not real people. Like for instance, Zeus, we get different depictions of him. Jesus, we get different depictions of him. If we all wanted to go off the first potential depiction of Jesus, we would all be worshiping a guy who looks kind of like a donkey.
Okay, but you know that there is Jesus' body,
That wouldn't
like
make any
that's
sense.
historical, like Jesus' tomb. You know that?
Okay, so which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the Talpiot tomb, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, or the Garden tomb in Jerusalem? Or are you talking about the one in Pakistan or the one in Japan?
The first one you listed, like he's exactly
the Talpiot
like
tomb?
tomb. You know,
You
like
think the
body.
Talpiot
Yeah,
tomb
yeah,
is the one?
yeah.
The ones
Yeah.
that the Catholics and the Protestants don't acknowledge?
No, not that.
Sounds like you haven't done a lot of research into this claim, have you?
No, but like there is Jesus' body, like his tomb. I don't know which one, but you know that where Jesus' hands was on her like down, and he was laying down, you know, like his body. No,
All right,
that
man.
one.
Well, we don't have any evidence of Jesus being in any of these places. Sounds like you haven't even
No.
really researched the names of them.
No, but okay, but his disciples, you know, they like
We
wrote
don't
down
have any
everything.
evidence. We don't have any evidence that they actually existed. And which ones do you think wrote down something?
We have like all Gospels from Rome. That was like very old Bible, you know, Bible.
None of the Gospels are from Rome
know
that
that.
we know of.
There's evidence for Gospels, you know, old
Sweet.
Roman
Which
writings.
Gospels do you think are written by disciples?
Gospel of John, Gospel
In
of
John,
Paul.
it says in
Paul.
Acts can't write.
Where?
In Acts 4:13, it says that he's illiterate. Also, it wouldn't make any
Where?
sense that somebody who speaks Aramaic and was a fisherman would be able to write a big book in Greek about religion.
But do you? So now you believe that he
Congratulations, you're stupid
existed?
in 3 languages.
No. So you believe that he existed, but he
No.
was illiterate, right?
No, what I'm saying is that even internally
what's the
taking a
sentence?
look at the Bible, it doesn't even agree that John wrote that. So no, nice try, next try.
But why is that name Gospel of John then?
Because
making no sense.
Irenaeus in 180 to 185 gave it that name. Prior to that,
You can
we don't
check
have
out
anybody
John.
mentioning it.
You can check out Bible verse John 21, Acts 24. You can check it out right now. That was like mentioned that John wrote that.
No, it doesn't say John at all, does it?
John 21, 24. You can check it out right now.
First of all, it says we, as in the people who are writing this book, are using someone else's testimony. And also, it doesn't say John.
But it says that this is the disciple who wrote it down, and we can, know that the testimony is true.
And that
You
disciple
know
is
that very
who?
well. I will write it to the chat. John 21, 24. Here it is, guys.
Sweet.
You can check it out.
And right after that, does it say we know his testimony is true, as in the people who's writing it?
Yeah.
Okay, so he didn't write
So,
it then. Sounds good. So
he did write
also, and that doesn't make any sense because Acts 4:13 says he's illiterate, so he didn't write shit.
So why do you believe the Bible now?
I don't.
And
It's
you
just
believe.
that the Bible is
But
inconsistent.
why are you saying that? No, but tell me, show me the verse that says that he's a lyricist.
Would you like to try that again?
Yeah, show me the verse. And I want to know the full context. You keep like saying the lyricist. I want to see the context of the verse.
All right. It says right here. So Peter and John threaten released. They are over. Let's see. I believe they're in.
Give me the full context. I don't
Full
want to see like
context.
one word.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
full context.
what we're doing here
The
is
whole
we're
verse.
reading the verse. And as they looked on Peter and John, so fearlessly outspoken, and also discovered that they were illiterate persons, untrained in the schools, they were surprised, and now they recognize them as being been with Jesus. They are talking to people who are trying to figure out where they're coming from. So it says, so they ordered them to withdraw from the Sanhedrin. So they're talking to like Jewish people, and they're trying to convince them about like the gospel and everything like that. And these people are looking at Peter and John, and they are discovering that these people are not even capable of reading and writing. So where did they
Wait,
get this story?
wait, but it did not say that they thought that they were lyricist.
Okay, so the word is illiterate, and it says it right there.
Illiterate, yeah.
The irony is
So
just
they
absolutely
were
dripping there.
surprised. There was no evidence that they were lyricist. They were just surprised that they can wrote something about Jesus. There's no
No.
evidence that. There's no evidence that
They're not
they
writing,
were
they're
lyricist.
speaking.
No, but they're saying that they were surprised how they can do it. There was no
How they
evidence
can do
that
what?
they didn't.
They can speak.
They were surprised.
It doesn't say that they
Look,
no,
they were surprised, and now they recognize them as having been with Jesus and seeing
because
them
they
as
were
standing.
speaking, not writing.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude. Are you illiterate?
No,
Like, what-
no. But my
What is
one of
happening
my
right now?
good evidence, and one of my very good evidences as well that you know the disciple Paul.
Okay, so we're absolutely just destroying this here. Well, Paul doesn't meet Jesus, so that's not going to get anywhere.
No, but he wrote about Jesus. You know,
I don't
he
give
wrote
two
about
shits.
him.
Paul didn't exist, so it
13
doesn't
years
really matter.
after his death. 13 years after his death, he
No.
wrote about Jesus.
Prove it.
He did.
Prove it.
What you mean?
Prove that he wrote
Gospel of,
13 years
Gospel
afterwards.
of
He doesn't write a
Gospel
gospel.
of Paul. He did. What are you talking about?
I don't think you know what a gospel is.
I do. He wrote Acts of Paul. You can
That's
check it
not a
out. It's in the
gospel.
Bible.
Also, he didn't write Acts.
What it is then? What it is then?
According to church tradition, that's just a book, and also Luke writes it, not Paul. So congratulations, you're
No,
stupid for about
Paul-
5 reasons.
No, Paul has literally wrote about Jesus, bro.
Sweet.
What are you talking
He
about?
doesn't write a gospel, and prove that he wrote anything 13 years after Jesus.
I mean, you believe in the Bible. You keep like naming me Bible and like.
No, I'm pointing out the
You're literally taking
inconsistencies.
Bible as evidence. You're literally taking
No.
Bible as your evidence.
That's called internal
that's
critique.
crazy.
That's a little different from me saying that it actually happened. I don't think any of this happened. I think it's all fictional, and I think that the authors are
Okay, so
stupid
stop
and they're
naming
mixing
me.
themselves up.
Okay, so stop naming me this Bible and give me like real evidence.
Okay.
That's
well,
it.
then
that John
please.
didn't write-
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That you know what? That'd be great. Give us evidence.
then
Give
go
us.
ahead.
Listen.
Go
Go ahead and
No, no,
give
no,
me
go ahead right
evidence
now.
for John outside the Bible.
No, you need to give me
No,
that.
no.
You
Listen.
keep saying
Listen.
that they were wicked.
We're not going to be using the Bible
No.
anymore. We're not going to be
You
using the
literally-
Bible.
Okay. Then
All right,
give me
listen,
the evidence
Hans,
outside the Bible.
Hans.
What?
All right, listen. Give me evidence outside the Bible for John. If you don't, or if you don't admit that we don't have any, I'm going to go ahead and push the block button. What do you got? You got 5 seconds. Either admit that we don't have any, or give me the evidence for it.
Gospel of John, the Bible. They wrote about Jesus, bro.
Sounds good. All right. So, as Acts says in the Bible, John's illiterate, so no, he didn't write that shit. If you have any evidence for Jesus or Paul, stop using his book against him. Exactly. Panja GG on YouTube knows what's up. Like, see, that's the problem. And taking a look here, let's see. Fellow native. That was magical. Why you gotta be so rude? Who is that? Oh, I know who that is. And I apologize. I apologize. I was using the wrong software there. So some of you were probably in the dark over on YouTube going like, what verse are they looking at? I apologize. I should have pulled it up on the other thing. I'm pulling up the wrong thing, but yeah. But anyways, what is going on? The AI pick is great. You should look. We're appreciating your AIs with it. I don't know. I'm worried. I don't actively check Discord while I'm going. Every once in a while, someone says, "Look at Discord," and I have to go look at Discord. What is it? Oh no, what is this gonna be? I'm always terrified. Oh my god! All right, we're okay. All right. Jesus Christ. Oh, whoa. Thank you for the capybara there, Yana. Dionysian Masks on YouTube says Christ is a lie. Corey says Croesus gave his last will of cheeses. Christus. I've been reading too many books on Serpus. Jesus gave his last will of cheddar to his true believers. Pizza. Oh, Cappy my bara. I like that. All right. Won't share the last pick for the class. All right. You know what? Fucking. I don't know who it's I don't know what's going on. But what the hell is that? Like, what is that? What is that supposed to be? That is not okay. Like, that is absolutely. Is that red eyes? Like, what? Something is wrong with you guys. That's me mom, mate. That's funny. What is this? What is all this? Mythman? Jesus. And then we have this here. Let's see if I can get the things to. I'm trying to get it to find the text there. Otherwise, it just kind of looks like. It says moms are in trouble everywhere, quickly, before people don't believe them. Holy black salami, I'm on my way. It's Gray Eyes and me talking. I'm not that tall. Gray Eyes is huge. Will your co-author ever come on here? I'm sure before too terribly long he probably will. What is a capybara? The animal looks like a giant rat. Remember on the Princess Bride, you have, what are they, the rodents of unusual size, or roost, or something like that. Something, a roost, yeah, rodents of unusual size. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's kind of like that, but to a Catholic, it's a fish. Look it up. All right, world's largest rodent for real. They're from South America. I don't know if I've never seen one in the wild. But I've seen them before. Master splinters. I don't think they exist. Roos? I don't think they exist. That's funny. And on the TikTok chat, DWOJCIK168 says 25,000 manuscripts. Prove me wrong. What 25,000 manuscripts are you talking about? Come on up. I sent you an invite. Come on up and please present the case there. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Sweet Pea says Jerimlin. I guess that's supposed to be like a play on the word gremlin, but also with my name. Yeah.
Plan by the push gwing, go get a quindrobble, and to Cilio go go go.
That's what you're getting there, Sweet Pea. Loved by Vov on YouTube says, time is running short, people. We are in the end of days. There are only two choices, and God allows you to make your choice that holds for eternity. Those are certainly words. Let's see. Truth and Reason says, most documented man in history never existed, LOL. Interesting. Well, come on up. What we're going to do there, Truth and Reason, I went ahead and blocked you for the entire live, not because I'm running, but because I'd like for you to come up and actually have a conversation with me as opposed to just typing in the chat. The request button is right about there or down there. Again, if you're on YouTube and you'd like to come up and present your case for why Jesus or Paul didn't exist, hop onto TikTok. The username is Christ Before Jesus, named after the project and my book on this topic. Again, if you're interested at all, Christ Before Jesus, there's a link on my TikTok as well as a link on YouTube channel for Christ Before Jesus. The ebook is just $3. It's over on Amazon. Similar to 898G on YouTube says, I enjoyed the book, wondering if you were writing another book. Yes, so we are currently in the process of writing a book on the Quran, the Book of Mormon, and the Old Testament. And we are currently choosing some people for some beta readers. Yep, I said it. We can only have like a small handful, and it has to be like it's definitely like different. We have to be very selective on who we choose, not just like, oh, hey, like, oh, this is my favorite person. No, that's not like how it goes. It's about like their perspective. We're trying to get different voices and stuff like that, so we got to try to get a bunch of. In other words, we got to pick diverse. We're going for diversity here because we want different perspectives on this kind of stuff. So that's how that goes. Let's see. Don't worry about volunteering. You're perfectly fine. Master beta. No, oh my God. I like how you put that in both chats. Joseph Lucas says, I did that for my book. Every author should do that. Yes. Trying to get out the material and get back some feedback from different voices is the point. Oh my God. What is this? Jesus Christ. That's pretty cool. That one was pretty good. I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I'm not a huge fan of the fact that you've got me in a Cowboys thing. It seems, for some strange reason there, Sweet Pea, whenever you make AI images of me, I'm wearing something sports related, but it's never for the right sport, or not. It's never for the right team in said sport. I mean, closer this time. At least it's not me in a Columbus Blue Jackets uniform or shirt, but it's close. It's close. It's close. I've been trying for 2 weeks to get you to see that. All right. Does anybody in the chats know which NFL team is my team? I'm not even a huge fan of the NFL, but like, does anybody know what team it is? If you know, put it in the chat. All right. Next time, the red. No. Hey, Bree's in the chat, everybody. Bree is in the chat. I would agree, Bree. I would agree. My God. Texans? No. Raiders? No. Niners? No. Cowboys? No. Titans? No. Eagles? No. Man. Damn. Colts? No. Seahawks? No. Wow. Broncos? No. People don't know my team. That's pretty wild. Chiefs? No. No. Still no. Maybe. Concha Sebastian. Conch. The BYU Cougars. That's not even. You know what? Cowboys. No. The Bucks. No. Oilers. No. That's not even a team. No. Lions. No. Boston somethings. Definitely not. Cleveland. No. Kansas City Chiefs. No. Giants. No. Panthers. No. Oh my God! It's not on page 3. Rangers. That's not even a football team. No. Tennessee Patriots. Lions. Bengals. No. Bucks. No. Oh my God. Vikings. No. My God. All these different guesses, and not a single one of them is the one. Who that? No. I understand who that is. Okay, finally somebody got it. All right, what's going on, Lady Huggy?
Say hi to my mom.
Oh, hey.
Say hi to my mom.
The hi, her mom. How's it going?
Ah, good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just came from the dentist.
You say the dentist? Is that something about the
She
dentist?
just came from the dentist.
Oh,
My
just
birthday is
oh.
tomorrow.
Oh,
so
very
she
nice.
brought me some stuff. Yeah. Okay, I just wanted you to say hi to my
There we go. There we go. I'm playing that now because I might not remember to play it tomorrow. That's the thing there. That's the thing.
The only thing you need to remember is that I'm 35 today.
12.
Wait, 35 today?
Yes.
35 today. Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
I'll be 36 tomorrow, but you only have to remember the 35 part, right?
Fine. Okay, 35 today, and her birthday is tomorrow. No telling what she's going to turn tomorrow. No telling.
Okay,
But
I'll
thank you
see
very much
guys.
for coming up and letting me say hi to your mom for me.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, Lady Huggy, everybody. All right, let's see. Top Tuesday to Brother Jared. Man, those sentences don't make a lot of sense, but yes. All right, if you got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. The mom's jokes come full circle. The moms are here to collect. All right. Just say 35 plus. Oh yeah, they're Femto Mully on YouTube. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Amen loves Jesus. They're on YouTube. Said for God to love the world. Oh, you just put John 3:16. Cool. And then someone else said Christ is the Word made flesh. My God, the YouTube chat is just unhinged. They are unhinged over there. What's going on? If you think that Jesus or Paul existed, come on up. The request button should be right about there if you're on TikTok, somewhere about there or down there. If you're on YouTube, I'd love to hear from you as well. Just join up on TikTok on the app. I don't think you can do it on the computer, but at least on the app, the username is Christ before Jesus, right here. So come on up. If you think that Jesus or Paul existed 2,000 years ago, I want to hear from you. Look, I could be wrong on this. I absolutely could be. So come on up. Come on up. Oh, that was Bread that sent that. Yeah, bread is. Yeah, bread is. You know, bread is bread. Bread is bread. I think that's the best way to put it. If you're asking me. So there we go.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
All right. Bree says, if I prove you wrong, what's the prize? The prize is Matthew and I taking down our book and probably also subsequent books from Amazon, as well as a big roll of cheese from an undisclosed animal. Holly said, I met Jake when I was 36. Good age. How old is Holly? I was thinking Holly was like 36 or 37. I just met him yesterday. Oh, yeah, I do say that. I say subsequent as opposed to subsequent. Subsequent just sounds awful. Subsequent, it's in a sequence. So subsequent, I don't know. Whatever. Bree, you're not beating those allegations. Why? What did she say? You had me at cheese. Really wild. Over on YouTube, August Pepper says, Jesus loves you, and then immediately someone said Christ is a lie. Jesus loves lamp, Christ is not a lie. It's all over the place. Let's go, Brandon 5340 says, can you prove that he never existed? Well, come on up over on TikTok. The username is Christ Before Jesus. I'd like to hear your evidence for why you think he existed. Or if you would like to ask me why I think he didn't exist, you can come on up. We can have a conversation. Just join on up. There's a TikTok? Rude. You're on the TikTok. I don't know what's going on. Tell YouTube about the puppy. Oh, that's a good point. Yes. Remember, to anybody who is a Bible-believing Christian, 1 Peter 3:15 says to always be prepared to give a defense of why you believe what you believe when questioned or demanded of you, and do so respectfully. If you don't do it, you let God down. And when God gets sad, he kills a puppy. Twice. The same puppy. The same puppy. Believe it or not. Look it up. Look it up. It is in the book of Nehemiah. All right. I'm digging the new font. Oh, this was actually made by, it was actually sent to me by Gray Eyes. I'm not sure if he's the one who made it or someone else made it. I'm not really sure. Is that where my puppies went? Probably. To a farm upstate just meant, oh no, we're going to send them up to like God's puppy mill. I thought the puppy thing was in Ruth. That's where you're wrong, kiddo. Nope, it's not. That is in the book of Ezra. Right next to the verse that says,
Can I pet that dog?
No.
Can I pet that dog?
No, he's
Can I
sleeping.
pet that dog?
Bruh.
all right, let's see here. You study the Bible for this purpose? Yeah, I'd say so. Oh no, what do we do now that Ruth week is over? I don't know. Maybe not have to panel Joel Reed's Bible. Can I put that back, Black Salami?
That's why they call him Black Salami.
Yeah, the puppy thing was in Ruth, but that was last week. So not Nehemiah anymore? No, why would it be in Nehemiah? The puppy thing is in the book of 2 Chronicles. All right. We can still talk about Joel, though, right? Of course we can. Of course we can. Is it even possible to talk about how Jesus didn't exist without bringing up how Joel is from Canada? And that's funny. All right. On YouTube, someone named Gerd Engineer, I guess, says W carrier, am I right? All right. Yes, Joel is hot from Missy Blues with the, something. With the red hair? I think so. I think that's how you pronounce that name. Very good. All right. Second here, boy. I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. Good engineer says Joel is inferior to me and my boyfriend Carrier. Am I right?
Bruh.
All right, you're gonna get us into some further trouble. But yeah. All right, you called me out. Hard. Post holiday, the crazies come out. Yeah, they truly do. Oppo says fucking W. What's your source of that claim? Good question, Benjamin Rodriguez. Why don't you come up? We'll talk about it. Send you an invite. Jake says, I think their name references someone that doesn't believe women. Probably. Sounds like it. Oh my God. Grandpa Kirk. All right. Bro, you got really good with the soundboard. Me? Nah, not me.
Sometimes when I wipe, I'll wipe and I'll wipe and I'll wipe and I'll wipe 100 times. Still poop. Let me check that. It's like I'm wiping a marker or something.
All right. Again, if you've got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, I want to hear from you. Come on up. All right. So there's a fight going on YouTube. Let me tell you what this. So first of all, someone says, I will never respect someone who chooses delusional fiction. And then they say, you do not deserve respect. And the Christian says, well, I respect you. And the atheist said, you deserve medication. That's funny.
Finish him.
All right. A fight on YouTube. Who would have guessed? Wiping a marker is diabolical. Gotta damn the TP. Deserving medication is heinous. All right. Simeon Urchin 7630 on YouTube says, hey, it's my first time tuning into the live. Well, if you have any questions or anything like that, if you want to know how I know Jesus didn't exist, or if you think that Jesus did exist, even better, come over to the TikTok side. That's where we're taking guests. But you can absolutely watch there on YouTube. That's not a problem. A restart, maybe a restart there on TikTok. That might work. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to the TikTok folks here. All right. There is an indication to get a bit. If ever there was an indication to get a bidet. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, heart for restart there on TikTok, guys. Jared, thanks for coming over to YouTube. The more platforms, the better. Yeah. Well, not only that, but also YouTube keeps a log of the videos and stuff, so people can kind of go back and watch some of it. So if people like it, they can watch it again. Is it because I started about black salami? Probably.
That's why they call him Black Salami.
Look at that. Oh, no. It looks like we might not be doing a restart over on TikTok because they got 10 seconds left and the Hearts are not winning. 10 seconds left and it's 28-7. About 5 seconds left. Oh my God. It's going to be close. It's going to be close and sorry. It looks like we'll be staying here. We're not doing a restart there on TikTok. But if you think that Jesus or Paul existed, come on up. All right, Ricky Brooks 66 says, Brother Jaron, all mean I say, Top Tuesday mean hello my way to you. Wow, man. Wow. Noun verb. In that order. Yay. All right. Over on YouTube, people are commenting and saying Tacitus wrote around 116 AD, Emperor Nero, Great Fire of Rome. Yeah. Well, OSHA or OCC Surfer, come on up over on TikTok. I am taking guests. That's the username Christ Before Jesus, and we can get into that. We can try to figure out what's going on there. Wild just found YouTube channel. Well, thanks for coming up, or thanks for joining. Love the new layout. Oh, well, thank you. Gray Eyes sent me that image up there. I'm here for discussion, not to stare at Jaren. Bro speaking in Mad Libs. It's pretty wild. Top of the morning, maybe? Top Tuesday is just wrong. Yeah, I'm not really sure on that one. People are asking for another. They're asking for another vote. We'll ask. Oh, here we go. Another vote. We'll do another vote here. Okay. A heart for restart there on TikTok. On YouTube, while that poll is going on, someone, THR Melvson or something, says, LOL, I'm an atheist, but I'm almost certain Jesus existed. Well, if you want to have a conversation about it, go ahead and hop over there on the TikTok app, username Christ Before Jesus. Come on up. It looks like the restart's going to win this particular challenge. Oh my God, people are still arguing to stay here. It is currently 30 to 42. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Man, the people who want a restart don't vote enough to... Okay, here we go. There it is. All right, so I think they're on TikTok. They are voting. It is currently about 90 to 150 in favor of a restart. It's pretty darn close though. There's only 3 people who have voted against the restart, but they vote with a lot of votes. That's ridiculous. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and do a restart. That's ridiculous. Oh my God. All right, we're doing a restart there on TikTok. I'll see you guys on TikTok in just a bit. And while we're still here on YouTube, I want to kind of get to some of these comments here. Should have had a poll if you think you should have a restart poll. Yeah. How can I deny the divine that proves itself constantly? I'd be a fool to throw away the great I am's goodness and mercy. Man, just kind of saying whatever there on YouTube. Alrighty. Welcome in, everybody. Again, if you think that Jesus or Paul existed 2,000 years ago, come on up. I want to hear from you. Come on up. Come on up. I'll still see you. Oh, yeah, I know. CPJ Raid. What's going on? What's going on, everybody who is coming back from the TikTok to the TikTok there? Bread is first. Ah, gross. All right. On YouTube, they're still talking over there. A rib woman was tricked by a talking snake to eat cursed fruit, and now we need to eat God's bread flesh and wine blood to fix it. Well, don't say it like that. It makes it sound stupid when you point out exactly what it is. Resting Opface says, join Shrouds Anonymous and turn your life around today. 95th. Oh, nice. Well, come on up. If you think that Jesus or Paul existed, the request button should be somewhere about there-ish or down there on TikTok. If you're on YouTube and you want to come up, the TikTok username Christ Before Jesus is where you want to go. You join the live and request on up, and we'll have a conversation. All right, let's see here. This rib woman is very happy to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here too, rib woman. Alrighty. Does anyone on TikTok have an IQ over 72? I'd say there's probably there's at least 7. There's at least 7 people. We've got someone coming up here. This is David Rumfellow.
Hey, what's up, Jared? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What you got?
So I was wondering if you would mind expanding a little bit on Paul's epistles again, the 1 Corinthians 15, the so-called like early creed. I'd be very curious to hear what kind of who we're attributing those to, and what the dating for that was, and maybe like some explanation of the dating.
There's not really much of a way to put it before the first iterations of Paul's letters in 144.
Gotcha. So the idea that it is, what do you think about the oral tradition? Was that early, or
what oral tradition?
So whenever Paul is saying he like received this information from, I guess, the disciples.
Not in the earliest iterations of Paul's letters. Do not have that there. So the earliest iterations that we know of are going to be found in the Apostolicon, which would be Marcion's version in 144, and that version of 1 Corinthians 15 does not say anything about. Wow, I actually opened and somehow got exactly that thing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and
nice.
Pull it up in here.
Is the 500 that is missing from that first, or is it all of the witnesses?
It's all of it. Here, let me see if I
Okay,
can.
well.
Give me 1 second here.
Hey, it takes time.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So in this text here, we see this is a reconstruction of Marcion's Apostolicon, published in 144, and this would be what is 1 Corinthians, is what we call it today. So 1 Corinthians 15, or what we know as it today. And so that entire creed is just, now I remind you, my colleagues, the proclamation that I proclaim to you, that Christ died and he was entombed and that he had been awoken on the 3rd day. So we declare and so you believed. That's it. That's the entire thing.
Gotcha.
So
that,
it doesn't say anything about how he first received it or anything like that. It doesn't say anything about how he appeared to all these different people. Those are later additions to try to make Paul seem subservient to somebody else telling him the gospel, and also to try to establish authority by Jesus appearing to other people before Paul.
Okay, so you're saying that the Marcionites created the... Did I hear correctly when you're saying it originated from the Marcionite group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the first people to publish it would be the Marcionites, or Marcion, yeah. There in 144. We don't have any evidence of Paul prior to that. And we definitely don't have any evidence of 1 Corinthians, much less 1 Corinthians 15, much less this particular creed prior to that. The idea that this is something that's swirling around prior is just based off of wishful thinking, a hope and a prayer. That's all that it is. Like, it's just, there's no evidence whatsoever that creed was something that was swirling around. So, there's a lot of evangelical scholars who say that this is something that had been repeated by the Christians just a few years after Jesus' death. There is zero evidence to suggest that. and a ton of evidence to suggest that that's just something that's in the in 144. Now, something that's really pertinent to how I would date a lot of this stuff as well is the fact that I think that the gospel that Marcion presented, like, it's assumed to also come from Paul. Like, that's the point, if that makes sense. So, like, Paul is presenting letters, but he's also saying he received the gospel through revelation. And then there's this gospel known as Evangeline in Marcion's letters, or in Marcion's collection. So this is more or less presented as the letters of Paul and also a gospel that Paul gives us, if that makes sense. Like, he's the source for the gospel. There's some later Christians who are writing in certain ways that kind of make it sound as if that was the intention. We get some writings in like First Clement, and we get some writings in Acts of the Silitan Martyrs, which is some other just writings from supposedly the 2nd century, that present the gospel as something that Paul gives us. I know that sounds a little weird, but I think the initial thought was that the first gospel, Evangeline, was actually from Paul. And so whenever this text says, "Now I proclaim to you, my colleagues, or I remind you the proclamation I proclaim to you that Christ died," what he's referring to is the fact that he's already said this in his gospel. Like, he's already said it in Evangeline. And people later on, they take that to mean like Paul visited with them and gave them this story. And then, of course, later on, the Catholics or the proto-Catholics add to that and make it sound like he was told some creed and then told the creed to somebody else. When I think the original reading of this is more just he's talking about how he's just giving you the gospel. It's Evangeline.
And so remind me what you think the intention would be of creating this narrative of a early creed.
The intention to, what do you mean?
Yeah, I guess it would be complex, like multiple people have different.
Like, why would the Catholics present it as an early creed?
Yeah.
To establish authority. That's exactly the point. The idea is that they want these stories to be rooted in something as early as possible.
Right.
Because they're really big on apostolic lineage. If Jesus does something, that's fine, but we want to be able to trace our roots as close as possible to Jesus actually doing that thing or saying that thing.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that was it. Thank you for answering.
Yep, not a problem. Thanks for coming up. Let's see. If anybody out there has any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Come on up. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching, by the way. But if you want to come up, you got to join over here on TikTok. That's how we take guests. It's by far the easiest way to manage them. We may be looking into something in the future, like some kind of a Video Ninja, or I know Joel has his own like website and stuff like that where you call in with your phone or something. That's not too bad, but I actually like the TikTok managing guest thing for at least for right now. Sir Meister on TikTok says, beware or be careful of false prophets. Like Paul, Jesus, God? I don't know. People are still going at it over there on YouTube, which is wild. We will. Noted. Taking a look at the chat over there on TikTok to see if there's anything. A bunch of mention of Jarenites. Gotta stop that kind of stuff. Jesus just mowed my lawn. Paul owes me $3. Well, with that $3, what you can do is check out Christ Before Jesus. The ebook is just $3. They're on Amazon. So There you go. You're welcome. Oh, I guess I gotta. I don't know how to pick people out. There's only a couple people who actually have their real names on here. I'm pretty sure I know who. Oh, there's one person there. I at least know that person. There you go. There you go. There's at least one person that I know there. Okay. The way the truth of life said showed you earlier how Yeshua. You did? Did you come up here? I have no idea who you are. Here, I'll send you an invite and you can come up and we can talk about how Jesus is something. What did you say? How Yeshua existed and he's the way, the truth, and the life and all that stuff. Bree says, disagree with the host? Come on up. Well, yeah, come on up. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. The request button on TikTok should be somewhere about there or down there. Again, yeah, it looks like we've got our first mods over there on YouTube, simply because I can't really verify the names of some other people. I think I know who they are, but I just want to make sure before I start. Here, I'm actually going to make this person a mod too, because I know that person. No one else would have that name. Can't imagine that they would. All right. Queen, I don't know which person you are. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Yeah, okay. There we go. All right. All right, if you've got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Played ball with Paul back in 97, dude. Polynese says, well, host, are you religious or just speaking out against this particular concept? Come on up. We'll talk about it. Got your number. Has anybody heard that song from the Newsboys? That song is wild. I hated that song as a kid. I'd listen to it like on the Shine the Hits album, but ugh. All right, Pauline, your comment was, let's see here. Well, host, are you religious or just speaking out against this particular concept? Well, for the sake of conversation, I'm speaking out against the concept. Religion, we don't really have to get into that. If that makes sense.
Okay. No, yeah, I get you.
But what do you think about Jesus or Paul? Do you think they existed 2,000 years ago?
It's a possibility.
Yeah. Well, what's your stance on it? Do you say it's just possible and you don't really have much of a stance?
I say it's possible. I wouldn't say like it's a fact that everyone should just agree with it, but definitely a possibility.
Well, is there any particular reason why you think that people do believe that Jesus and Paul existed back then?
Many people believe through obviously the church and many different things. How you're saying, like historically, many people don't go into that aspect, at least the people who speak upon these topics.
Well, you would at least surely you could admit that that's not a good way to determine whether or not someone actually existed, is to go through like a religious like perspective, right?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So that's all I'm really saying is just, hey, if we take a look at this from a historical point of view, we don't see any evidence that this guy actually existed. And there's no real good reason to assume that the Bible is historically accurate when talking about these people.
Right. Has there been like anything that I guess you know or that you've done research on that shows that these people didn't exist?
Yeah. There's multiple things, or multiple times, or quite a bit of times, in the Gospels and also in the Book of Acts, and as well as some in the Pauline epistles to some extent, that talk about anachronisms, or there's the concept of anachronisms. These are things that are out of place in time, and so they don't go with where the story is. Anachronisms.
But anything other than that, though?
Well, I mean, that's pretty good evidence for someone not existing. If the only stories that we have of somebody are things that include parts of history that don't line up with that time, then I don't know why we would ever assume that that person existed.
Because there are 25,000 manuscripts written about them. More manuscripts than anyone else in history. But we take people like Napoleon and we don't even think that he didn't exist.
Right.
But over 20,000 more manuscripts written about Jesus than Napoleon, but apparently Jesus didn't exist.
Right. So, quick question. So, who would you consider to be the greatest football player of all time in the NFL? This is
Tom
going
Brady?
somewhere. Did you say Tom Brady? Yeah, I'd agree. I don't like the guy, but sure, I'd agree. Tom Brady. Why not Adam Vinatieri?
I don't even know who that is.
So Adam Vinatieri is a legendary kicker who has actually, made the most field goals out of NFL history.
He has the most points, I think, too, doesn't he?
Yeah. So why isn't he the greatest of all time? The reason why is because that's just one particular metric. Like, you're just looking at one particular thing and declaring yourself the winner because of that. That's like, well, the first people to put something into space was the USSR. The first people to put the first country to put like an animal in space was the USSR. The first people to put something on the moon was the USSR. But the first person to people to put a person on the moon was the US. And we just won the space race because we whittled it down to that specific thing.
I see what you're saying, but you're looking at the like gaps in the story and ignoring the rest of the facts, and that to me just seems a little bit irresponsible.
No, it's just that you brought up manuscripts, and that's not how we determine how people existed in the past all the time.
And we don't determine people didn't exist by gaps in a story.
No, that's not what I said. I didn't say anything about gaps in a story. What are you talking about?
You said take you to places that the story will take you places that don't really add up.
Oh,
which
is that what you mean by gaps in the story? Like,
well, if it doesn't add up,
like for instance, if
there's a gap in the story.
Like for instance, if we heard about, say, I don't know, some Native American person living in, I don't know, what would eventually become Mexico before the Europeans show up. Let's say that they have steel and stuff like that, like wheels and steel, or they ride horses. Like, that would be problematic, right? We would know that story's bullshit, right?
But why?
Because they didn't have steel back then.
We don't know that. Europeans gave us the information, like how you're saying. So if the Europeans gave us the information,
steel. That's where we don't have any evidence whatsoever that they had wheels prior to European influence. Horses
through
weren't even
European
here.
influence and European manuscripts, as well as what their documentation showed.
As well
listen.
As well as Native American records. In no Native American records do they ever show that they had wheels or steel. Or horses, for that matter.
So that applies to the logic. There weren't any manuscripts written about, or any documentation written about them having steel. They didn't, right?
So
It's a belief that they
Right.
didn't
So
because
they
there was
didn't
no
have the ability to
documentation.
make it. That's the problem. Steel requires like furnaces, like really high like smelting abilities that they just didn't have.
But we don't know that for a fact. We
It's an
only know
alloy.
that
They
through
didn't have it. No.
documentations.
No. It's not. Well, through the documentation of the people who didn't have it. That's the thing.
Both people who came here and people who were already here. But just because things aren't
No.
documented does not mean that things are
Listen.
true.
No. We understand how steel is made. They didn't have
Not
the
saying that we
no,
didn't,
no,
but
no,
we
no.
don't know
Listen,
that they
listen,
didn't have that
listen,
architecture.
Listen. They don't have that ability. So
We can't
therefore
say
they
that.
no, we can.
We
People
can't
who
though.
actually yes, we can. Because the way that we actually go about making steel is something that is literally not even possible given the materials that they had here.
But we
There's a
don't know
progress.
what materials they had here. We
Yes,
weren't
we
alive
do.
back then.
Yes, we do,
Just the
because they tell us
documentation.
the materials that they used. In fact, Native American writings or Native American drawings and inscriptions depict the things that they actually did use and talk about the tools that they used, and they never mention anything of the sort. They mention things that are actually still available in those
But
particular areas in Mesoamerica
the
today,
the
which is
Correct,
how
I
we
get you.
know that they didn't use these materials. They
that
tell us
that's
what
not
they
true
have.
though.
It is
That's a
true.
logical.
No, it is true. And also on top of that, that's how we know that Joseph Smith was bullshitting whenever he presents the Book of Mormon, because it has these anachronisms. Not only did the Europeans bring over horses that the Native Americans didn't use, they've also over time introduced the concept of an elephant, which the Native Americans did not have. Would you also argue that they rode elephants?
I just would say that there is no complete,
An
fact.
elephant. Do you think that the Native Americans in Mexico rode elephants?
I could believe it.
You think they rode elephants in Mexico?
Yeah. Again, like the world is huge, dude. So it's like only.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to somebody who's possibly got wrinkles on their brain, because in no way, shape, or form did the Native Americans ride elephants in Mexico. That's not a thing. All right. So AF1, hopefully you understand where I'm going with this. If there are anachronisms in a text, we can understand that this is not a true story. This is not something that would be historical. You understand that concept, right? Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, I understand historical is different from true though, because
If
just
something
because
is not
there's lack of
historical,
okay.
like a story, you mean?
Well,
If a story didn't happen in history, it's
historical
not.
evidence of it. Like you're talking about historical evidence of it, right? Like,
Well, I mean, kind of. But if we have,
lack
like,
of
for instance,
lack of evidence, okay, lack of evidence
well,
doesn't
please-
prove a claim.
no,
That's called appeal to
that's
ignorance.
no, it's not.
Yeah, that's a logical fallacy,
The
100%.
fact that the Native Americans did not have elephants that they rode in Mexico shows that the story that they rode elephants in Mexico that is written by someone later on after the fact shows that that's fake. That's how that works.
Yeah, if we know for a fact that they didn't, right?
Right.
But if we
do
can't
know
prove
for a fact that they
then
didn't
we can't
ride
say-
elephants into battle in the way the Book of Mormon says.
Yeah, and look. I'm not saying they did. I'm playing with the
No,
hypothetical.
I
I'm not-
understand, but we can tell that they didn't do it in the way that the Book of Mormon says. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
with evidence, right? With evidence.
Correct.
Yes, but with a lack of evidence, that doesn't mean that the
No,
claim is untrue.
the evidence is the fact that they didn't have any elephants. It says that
I
they
see what
literally
you're
used the
saying. I see what
elephants
you're-
in like a really large amount in battle. And yet when the Native Americans tell us how they battled, they never mention horses, let alone elephants. Not only that, but elephants wouldn't be there because no, there's no elephants
No,
in
I
that spot.
get
The
what you're
closest thing
saying.
to an elephant in that entire area would be a woolly mammoth that doesn't make it to that point in time or area.
Could Joseph Smith have mistaken a woolly mammoth for an elephant?
He explicitly tries to say that this is being used in like post-Jesus times.
I say, yeah.
That's the problem. He's using like if he had just kind of left it vague and said at some point in time there was an elephant in or an elephant-like creature in North or South America, fine. Okay. If it's really vague, you could maybe twist it to fit whatever narrative you want. But it's the fact that it eventually gives us enough material to work with to where we're able to dive in and see if there's actually evidence for this or even evidence against
And
it.
here's my problem now. If you would have a good comparison to this to the Bible or to all the manuscripts of Jesus, if it were other people along with Joseph Smith claiming that Native Americans rode elephants, but as far as I know, or as far as you've explained so far, because I like, you know what I mean.
What do you think a manuscript is?
Like documentation.
Yeah,
written
but
about
like
an
how do you think we get to 25,000? Do you think that's 25,000 different people writing about Jesus?
No.
So
But
how do we get to the 25,000 number?
It's more than 5. It's more than 10.
Well, that's sweet, but how do you get to 25,000? There needs to be copies made, right? Most of that 25,000 would be copies, right?
Different manuscripts.
That's
there are
fine.
25,000 different manuscripts.
You think there's 25,000 different stories of Jesus?
Written accounts about Jesus? Yes. 100.
No.
Yes. Yes. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. Go look it up.
That's where you're sorely mistaken. That's not what that is. In fact, in Greek, which is what the New Testament was written in, there's only 5,766. The 25,000 number is including other translations like Latin and like Syriac, that kind of stuff. So no.
There are 3 different languages the Bible was written in.
Cool.
Hebrew.
What you're talking
Aramaic.
about, that number only applies to the New Testament. So no, it's written in Greek. So the issue here is that you're trying to say that there's 25,000 different texts. No, that's not even remotely close to true. For the New Testament alone, we only have the books that we have like in the canon, plus maybe a few others that we have found in Greek that date to like the 2nd century or so. Like for instance, we have a total of about maybe 7 or 8 different gospels, including like the Gospel of Hebrews, Gospel of the Nazarene, maybe some fragments of the Gospel of Peter or Gospel of Thomas, that kind of thing. We don't have a lot of different material like this. It's not even close to even 5,000. The number that you're talking about is based off of copies of these things. And your specific number is actually copies in other translations of these copies. And I'd also like to point out that the earliest of these copies comes from about the 3rd century. So, yeah, it's just simply copies. So, using that same logic, because the Book of Mormon talks about something that is anachronistic a bunch of times, and we have a lot of copies of it, that suddenly makes it real? Like, that's not how that works. We have to analyze the actual content to determine whether or not we have evidence for this case or if we have evidence potentially against it. That's the issue. Is he off the app? Yeah, he's off the app for some reason.
Multiple cultures were claiming Native Americans were riding elephants, right?
No.
If multiple cultures were claiming they were riding elephants, but the Native Americans themselves said that they weren't. Who would you consider more historically accurate? Who are you going to believe?
People who are actually digging in that time period and trying to figure out if elephants existed at that time period in that area? That's who I would trust. The scientists behind it.
And the science proves Jesus was real, my man.
No. What science do we have that proves that Jesus explicitly was real?
Jesus expressly, we found the Ark of the Covenant.
That has nothing to do with Jesus, and also no, we didn't.
I mean, if you let me finish.
You're actually talking about Ron Wyatt there. So Ron Wyatt is a nurse, anesthetist, and a pseudo-archaeologist who went over in the early 90s to the Garden Tomb and dug a shaft there in the Garden Tomb, specifically one of the 3 tombs in Jerusalem that says that Jesus was buried there.
And they found blood on it. They found live blood on it.
No.
Yes, they did.
No.
You're lying.
So what lab did he take it to?
Bro.
What lab did he take it to?
It was a lab in
He doesn't give
Was
the
it not
name. He doesn't give a name of it, and no lab has ever said that they actually did it. In fact, if you go to the Garden Tomb today, they will give you a document that they print out and give to people like yourself who believe this kind of shit. That says that they explicitly were watching him as he went into this shaft, excavated shaft, to dig things up and try to look for things, and he didn't find anything. And that's exactly what they say. On top of that, they actually sued his organization, and they stopped saying it as well because that's not a thing. Also, that's not how blood works, and also that's, again, we don't actually have any samples or anything like that.
We're talking about God here, bro. God doesn't.
So in other words, in order to show that Jesus naturally existed, you have to appeal to magic.
It's not magic. How is that
you
magic?
just said that's how God works, so I guess magic.
No, that's crazy strong man, bro. You've been full of logical fallacies, dude.
Cool. So you don't have any evidence that Ron Wyatt actually did this, and you had to appeal to just that's how God works?
Well, no, you interrupted me.
That's literally what you said. You said that's how God works.
Yeah, you keep just jumping me off, bro.
Did you say that's how God works?
Just that.
Was that
I
your
didn't finish my
argument for it?
sentence. You didn't let me finish my sentence.
Okay, well then please tell me where this blood is
God,
kept now, or what
I
lab
was about to
analyzed
say,
it.
God doesn't have to abide by human
It sounds
nature,
like that's
does he?
just magic or supernatural claims.
It's a spiritual claim. There's a
Sweet.
difference.
So you said that we found blood, which would be a natural claim. Where did we find the blood? Where is it now? What lab analyzed it? Where's the study?
What do you mean, where is it now? It's still on the ark. Like, you literally, there were like,
Where's the ark?
it's in a temple.
No. Ron Wyatt said he wasn't able to touch it. He wasn't even able to take pictures. You don't even know the actual story of how he found it.
That's it, bro.
No.
It's
He
in a
actually
temple
said
in
that he tried to
Africa
take
right now.
pictures.
It's in a temple
and
in Africa right now.
No, he said that he was in Jerusalem, took
yeah, it is.
pictures of it, and it was fuzzy. The temple in Africa that says that they have it claimed that they had it before Ron Wyatt went into that excavated shaft in the 90s to say that he
They
found
claim
it
they
there.
still have it. They claim
so
they still have it.
please listen. Ron Wyatt said that he found that in the early 90s.
Why should I listen to you when you clearly haven't been listening to me?
Because I've actually got information about your argument that you don't know.
And I've had information about your.
So the claim that it's over in Africa goes back further than
I've
the
had
claim that Ron Wyatt found it in Jerusalem. So how do you explain that?
Lose. You mute, you lose.
All right.
You
Listen.
lose.
Listen. Cool.
You mute, you lose.
Awesome. So how do you explain that the church in
I don't
Africa...
know. How am I supposed to?
Listen to the question. How do you explain that the church in Africa said that they had it before Ron Wyatt found it in Jerusalem in the early 90s? How do you explain that? Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I'm sending you an invite. Go ahead.
You mute, you lose. You mute, you lose.
Cool. Go ahead.
I'm
Explain.
not going to answer your questions until you agree to stop fucking talking over me, bro. Every
I'm
time
not
I get
talking.
halfway through a sentence, yeah, you. Oh my god, bro, you cut.
All right. We're going to try this yet again. How can you explain that the church in Africa had the claims to have the ark before Ron Wyatt found it in Jerusalem in the 90s? Go ahead.
Stop fucking muting me, bro.
Explain.
Stop me. I'm not going to answer your question until you agree to stop fucking cutting me
As
off.
long
and
as
stop
you
muting
answer
me.
the question, I won't mute you.
I have been answering your questions, and you still
So go
continue
ahead.
to jump me
Answer the
off.
question. I won't mute you if
Not
you're
until you
answering the
agree.
question.
Not until you say I'm sorry for.
I am sorry for muting you. Answer the question or you will be disconnected. Go ahead.
Good boy. Good boy.
Go ahead.
Good boy. Good boy.
Go ahead. That was a mod that muted you, not me. Go ahead.
I can hear you clicking.
Now, I just tried to send you an invite and you unmuted at the same time. Go ahead. You muted yourself there. I don't know why. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Can't ignore.
Eternity later.
You can't ignore the fact that
Doesn't sound like the answer.
25,000 manuscripts, my man.
I told you to answer the question about Africa, and now you're back on the manuscripts because you pivoted. Lock in. Give us the answer. How does a church in Africa have a tradition that says that they have the ark that goes back before Ron Wyatt claimed to find it in Jerusalem?
They still claim it, though. They still claim that they have it.
So how did he find it in Jerusalem in the early 90s then? Which is what you're talking about, where he analyzed the blood.
Yeah.
So how did they find it in the Jerusalem if a church in Africa had it the whole time?
You know, that's a good question. But at the same time,
so what's the answer?
You can't wait.
You said that it's over in a church in Africa. That's what you said. You claimed that, but you also claimed that they found the blood, and that would have been in Jerusalem where he bled. So, explain it.
Sorry, my friend keeps calling me.
Not a problem. Maybe he's got an answer, because you apparently don't.
Well, okay. Like I said, you got me there.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like that's a fake
I also
story.
got you on the fact that there are multiple different cultures that believe not only believe but verifiable evidence that they believe that he existed and converted their entire
you want him to do you so much you can do anything.
Do you have any evidence for Jesus or Paul, or do you want to keep jacking off at the mouth?
Yeah, like I said, 25,000 manuscripts.
Okay, those are copies. You didn't know that.
That's more than enough historical evidence proving that
That's
someone
not historical
existed,
evidence. None of the manuscripts go before the
100%
3rd century. None of those manuscripts go before
Okay.
the 3rd century
Dude,
or the end of the 2nd.
So when Jesus was like 1 or 2 years old.
What? Jesus doesn't make it halfway through the
Past
first
the
century.
3rd century?
What do you think a
okay,
century
wait, my bad. The
is?
century.
Yeah.
My bad. When you said century, I heard AD for some reason.
Okay.
But no.
Yeah. So none of the manuscripts that we have go back prior to the complete manuscripts don't go prior to the 3rd century. The oldest fragment we have is called P52. It's housed at the John Rylands Research Institute and Library. And this is actually an image of it here on the screen if you want to take a look at it. And it explicitly states on their page that it is widely regarded as one of the earliest writings of the New Testament ever found. But it dates to about 200. Recent research points to a date near to 200, but there is as yet no convincing evidence that any earlier fragments from the New Testament survive. So,
what about the fact that
even fragments don't date all the way to the 1st century, and Jesus doesn't even make it halfway through the 1st century.
Why did Rome convert to Catholicism if Jesus didn't exist?
Why did they believe in Jupiter if Jupiter didn't exist?
Wait, Jupiter? You like the planet?
No, the Roman god it's named after.
Okay, why does anyone believe in anything that they're wrong about before evidence proves that they were wrong about it?
What?
Why does anyone believe in something that's untrue before someone shows them evidence that they were wrong about it?
Because they were duped into believing it, like yourself, before talking to me?
So how can someone be duped, change their belief system, and then 2,000 years later, based on the belief system that they changed into, why, like, how does that change? How does that become untrue just over time? Like, how does the belief system that their entire culture changed into, converted to, How does that become untrue over time? Something they witnessed with their own eyes, and we can verify the evidence because of the change in their
There's
culture.
no one who says I witnessed that with my own eyes. Name me the person who
500
says that.
eyewitness accounts saw Jesus after he was
Name
crucified.
one of them.
Name one person who saw
Name one of the
Julius
500.
Caesar before. Matthew.
No.
Matthew was the first person. Simon.
So no, you're trying to name
Yeah,
disciples.
no, you can't just be like, no, that's
All
true.
right,
That
fair
is
enough.
literally true.
You are trying to name the disciples, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, Nate, did he not see them with, did they not witness him after
Right
he was
here,
crucified?
listen. And that he appeared to Cephas. This is in 1 Corinthians 15. He appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. That's the disciples, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then he
So,
appeared to
just
more
that-
than.
the-
Listen.
right.
Listen.
Name one.
Listen.
I named two.
No, listen.
You just gave me 12.
Listen. Then he appeared to the more than 500 brothers. You said 500. This is what you're referencing. That wouldn't be the disciples. So if
I
you
said,
name one of the.
I said 500 eyewitness
Correct.
accounts. You said
And this
name
is-
one.
this
And
is what you're
is
referring
Matthew
to.
not an eyewitness account?
This
Is
is what
Matthew
you're.
not an eyewitness? Is Matthew? No, answer the fucking question. Is Matthew an
All right.
eyewitness account?
No, we don't have anything from Matthew.
What? The cognitive dissonance is crazy.
Where
bro.
in the Gospel of Matthew does it say it's written by Matthew?
No,
What
I
was
didn't
that
say it
about
was a
cognitive
first- I didn't
dissonance?
say it was a first-hand. It was a first-hand.
You said it was eyewitness
account.
account. That's what a first-hand account is. An eyewitness. That's what you just called it. In fact, you said we have eyewitness
Well,
accounts
no,
on these
the
500,
Bible
and then tried
itself
to
is
say
the
something.
Bible itself is.
So
isn't
first of all, you
isn't a
mentioned that
first-hand-
there's 500, and you mentioned one of the 12 instead of the 500. So you didn't answer that question. But
Yes,
I
did.
want to.
I didn't say the 500. I said over 500 eyewitnesses.
Yeah,
I
more than
didn't say
500
the
right here.
500s.
That's
Okay?
what you're in reference
And-
to.
And do you think
That being said, you then try to pivot and say that in Matthew we have an actual like eyewitness testimony. I'd like for you to point me to the verse in Matthew that actually says that it was written by Matthew. Where is that? What verse are you reading? What was that you were saying about cognitive dissonance? What was that? I think that was actually
the book of Matthew was also written from his own accounts too, not
does
like
it say
he wrote
that?
the. Like I said, bro.
Where does it
Stop
say
jumping
that?
me off.
No, where does it
Stop
say
cutting
it?
me off, dude. You debate in such bad faith. It's not
Where
even
is
funny.
it? You're pulling things out of your ass. There's no verse that
No,
says
I'm not,
that.
dude.
Then where's the verse?
Matthew was his scribe. Matthew was literally his scribe. Jesus'
Whose scribe?
scribe. He
No.
was the only disciple that knew how to read and write.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Okay,
What
bro.
language did Jesus speak?
Aramaic.
What language was Matthew written in?
Matthew was written in Hebrew.
No, Matthew's written in Greek. Congratulations, you're stupid in 2 languages.
Matthew, like the book of Matthew, or how Matthew, like what Matthew wrote, because Matthew wrote in Hebrew. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the
he
Gospel
wrote-
of Matthew, which you think is an eyewitness testimony, is written in Greek.
I never said it was an eyewitness testimony. I said Matthew
did.
himself was an eyewitness.
Sweet. So where's
And
his testimony
someone
then?
translated his script, his scriptions into Greek.
How do you know
Yes,
they're his?
Absolutely.
Where does it say that he wrote them first?
Where does it say that Jesus didn't exist?
In the fact that we don't have any records of him and the stories have anachronisms in them, like mentioned earlier. But that being said, we're still on this topic. Where does it say that Matthew wrote this? In any language first.
Or was his scribe? Because
I don't know what you just said.
I said, wrote the book of Matthew, or
Yeah,
was his
where
scribe?
where does it say that it's a scribe of Matthew? Where does it say it's Matthew? Where does it say anything about
Well,
being an eyewitness testimony?
considering the disciples were being hunted, and the book of Matthew was technically written anonymously, a
So,
logical
you
read,
don't know
a
if Matthew
reasonable
wrote it?
person would believe that Matthew is. Matthew was trying to keep himself safe so he could.
So you don't
You
know
know?
if Matthew wrote it?
I think a logical person would conclude that
Why? Based off of what verse?
because he wrote he was Jesus' scribe.
Where does it say he was Jesus' scribe?
In,
Where'd you get that?
Oh my God, in Matthew, dude.
Where? What verse? We'll pull it up. Not a problem. What verse? What chapter and verse? Is that at the beginning? Because it doesn't say that. We'll pull it up. I'll pull it up. Everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. You looking it up? You finding that that's not true? Is that what's happening there, buddy?
Matthew 13:52.
In 1352. Here we go. All right. You just searched for the word scribe. That's all you did. And he said to them, therefore, every scribe who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the master of a household who brings out his treasure, what is new and what is old. Where does it say, I'm his scribe?
He wrote that. He was the one who wrote that.
Who? Did you just search Gospel of Matthew and then just the word scribe to try to see if there's any verses that mention scribe, and then you just pulled that out of whatever you just searched for and just said, please go look at this verse and I hope that it says what I think it says?
Sorry, I didn't know exactly.
No, it's not that you don't know exactly. It's that you're trying to grasp at straws. You're trying to find anything and everything to possibly talk about what you just made up. So to anyone watching, this is where we are right now. Oh, he left. So that guest, at first, I felt like maybe we were talking to somebody down here that just had low confidence and just didn't really know anything. But unfortunately, we found out that he had a high amount of confidence without really knowing much at all. He was at what we call the peak of Mount Stupid. Then, over time, he started to realize that he didn't know a lot of shit. And you can kind of feel in that conversation him slowly slipping down towards the valley of despair. Now, hopefully he can reach the slope of enlightenment and the plateau of sustainability once he realizes that, no, Jesus and Paul didn't exist, and he doesn't know as much as he thought he knew about this particular topic. Hopefully, over time, he continues to read and learn, and hopefully he continues to listen as well. But he was absolutely shouting about cognitive dissonance to me from the peak of Mount Stupid. All right. What is going on, George Stone?
Wait, can you hear me all right?
Yep. What's up?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I've got a question, a simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Marcus Aurelius is?
Later Roman emperor.
Yeah, he wrote a book called Meditations. It's one of the most published books in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a diary of his life, if that makes sense. Do you believe in that book and him being the Roman emperor? It's one of the most well-published books in the world. He's one of the founders of Stoic philosophy. Do you believe in that book?
What do you mean believe in it? That's a weird way to
Well,
ask my
do
question.
you believe that Marcus Aurelius existed?
That he existed? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's more accounts of Jesus and Paul than Marcus Aurelius existing.
Okay.
And it
There's
was,
better
and it,
evidence for Marcus Aurelius than Jesus. I don't
that,
give a shit about the
um,
more. Do you think
no,
that
no, that's not.
do you
No,
think that
don't interrupt
historians
me.
care about the quality or the quantity of evidence?
Side question. Um, the point is that I'm making is that Marcus Aurelius was the emperor at 200 AD. In Rome, the same area that Paul was. Paul was actually, according to historians, and of course, feel free to use your own resources or whatever. There are more accounts of Paul spreading the gospel, and there are more accounts of Jesus via Paul in Europe than Marcus Aurelius even being the emperor of Rome.
So you think that we have historical evidence for Paul? Is that what you said? Is that what you're saying? Oh, did he leave? The hell was that all about? All about? Did he know that hard mode was coming? Ridiculous.
Shut up.
Ridiculous. You say, macho. Ridiculous. He denied us stiff mode. So I was like, I wonder what would happen if I look for sounds that have the word hard in it, which is definitely not a good idea. Here are the top 3 sounds. This is slap hard, which is basically what I played. Hard fart. Oh my God. Or bone crack. Oh. Jesus Christ. Well, we're not going to worry about that now. What's going on, everybody? Come on up. If you think that Jesus or Paul existed, I want to hear from you. Request on up. The request button should be right about there-ish or down there-ish somewhere. It's on TikTok. If you're on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. But if you would like to request up, hop onto TikTok. The username is Christ before Jesus, and we can get into some lovely conversations here. We've had some pretty good conversations. These last couple too have been, this last couple have been interesting, I guess, to say. I mean, I guess they were interesting.
What?
Well, what do you mean, Lil Jon? Like I'm talking about the last couple guests.
Okay.
I mean, do you agree that they were decent guests?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just stick with that. All right. Semi-interesting. Oh, there we go. Cantankerous. That's a pretty good one. I'm disappointed. Walk Hard. Let's see. I'm sure something from Walk Hard is going to be in there.
Wrong kid died.
Such a good movie. Hey, there's Adam. All right. Bree says, I got to see Lil Jon on Saturday. What? Bree's life is wild. I don't understand it at all. I don't try to understand it at all. She is a mouse. Jesus Have Mercy 23 there on YouTube says, this guy is just so wrong. All right, well, come on up and show me why I'm wrong. Brad Kingme says, read the book. I think I know who that is. I think I know who that is. I think I know who that person is. I'm going to mod that person. And I'm not going to tell you on TikTok who that actually is. All right. What I'm trying to figure out. Was there an issue? Vad har gått? Vad har gått med vän? Vad har gått med YouTube? Oh, no. No, you can't request on YouTube. You can't request on YouTube. We'd have to use like Video Ninja or something like that, some kind of third-party site that kind of converges and everything. And that's fine if we want to do that, but I like TikTok's way of doing things, to be honest. Anyways, yeah, but the YouTube chats are off the chain. Like they're pretty wild. If I'm not gonna lie, Can you talk about the flyleaf? Can you explain what type of evidence you'd accept? Writings in the 1st century about Jesus. That'd be pretty good. It'd be even better if it was writings from the 1st century about Jesus in a mundane way, as opposed to like talking about him like in a spiritual way. Yeah, you can say anything on YouTube. It's pretty wild. Yeah, Selena's. You can go check. It's pretty wild. Yeah, YouTube chats are always a bit of a cesspool. They are wild. I'm not gonna lie. Like TikTok is nice, and I enjoy TikTok and its moderation and stuff. YouTube is just the wild fucking west. It is insane. I'm glad you people are here from YouTube. And if you're wondering, you people, yes, you people. And what I mean by you people are YouTubers. The hell else? What do you think I was talking about? Anyways. Almost as wild as a Discord. Almost. Can you explain Marbar Serapion? Yes. So Marbar Serapion, writing to his son, he mentions the Jews unaliving their wise king. There was a story about how Shimon Bar Kokhba was kind of betrayed, where people let the Romans into Jerusalem to unalive him. Also, it's pretty clear that that's who he's talking about. Doesn't mention Christians, doesn't say the word Jesus, doesn't say the word Christ or anything like that. Is talking about this character as if he's still dead and doesn't resurrect in the next paragraph. So he's like familiar with the story of Jesus if he's talking about Jesus, but not familiar with the part right after he dies that says that he comes back to life. Also, he says that the Jews lived in complete dispersion. This would have happened more in the 2nd century, right after the Bar Kokhba revolt, after they were banished from Judea by Emperor Hadrian, as opposed to in 30 or even in 70. Says that they lost their kingdom immediately. It says immediately after that, their kingdom was destroyed. So, yeah, sounds more like something that happened around the Bar Kokhba revolt. There's actually 3 different time periods that this is supposedly written in. It's potentially written in like 70s, 140s, and then I think again in like 180 or 190 or so. The middle one is probably the correct one. I don't mind if it's the later one. If it's the later one, that's even better for me. But I would say that it's the middle one, talking about the Bar Kokhba revolt as opposed to anything there in 70. So, yeah, there you go. Also, Marbar Serapion was crowned as a king. Rabbi Akiva even called him the Messiah. For 2 days, well, nej. Det är väldigt märkligt. Yeah, it's not. Well, och ganska cold. Well, for mig. I still want to know why my life is wild. That's either German or Klingon. It's close to both. All right. Anybody got any evidence for Jesus or Paul? Come on up. I see the shadow of Serapis. Oh my God. Pulse at 8. This will be interesting. Oh, hello, Jaden Ayo Deji.
Yeah, IODG. You were closer. You were closer. I almost got that.
What'd you get?
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, so really just 2 points.
2 points.
I guess that's. Yeah. Do you want me to just say them both at the same time?
How would you do that?
Just say both of the points that I would use.
Oh, okay. Like
Or do you
in
just want to
succession.
like?
Okay, gotcha. All right, what you got?
Yeah, so one of them would just be kind of an appeal to Occam's razor, and then
Okay.
one is going to be the embarrassment criterion.
Yes, let's do it. Occam's razor.
Yeah, so pretty much this just states that if we have 2 competing explanations, right, the one that I guess posits less propositions or simpler propositions is more likely to be true.
Okay.
Given they have the same amount of explanatory power.
Yeah, I know what Occam's razor is. How would you apply it here?
Yeah, so in this case, when we look at, I guess, the mythicism view versus that of the Jesus existed view, when we take something like, Christianity spreading, and then we take something like various authors mentioning or, I guess, talking about Jesus, the simplest explanation seems to be that there was a real man that existed rather than, they created this man to, I guess, spread a religion.
Okay.
And for that reason, right, I guess just using Bayesian reasoning, where it's the case that we proportion, I guess, our beliefs to the evidence.
Okay.
When we're kind of ascertaining this question about if Jesus existed, right, it's the case that we should favor the hypothesis that Jesus existed, because there's just a greater probability.
Okay. All right. What was your next point?
Yeah, and then the embarrassment criterion, it pretty much just says that when we are, or rather when the Jewish people were, I guess, creating, or if it was the case that they were going to create a mythical figure or a Messiah, right, it probably would not be a man who was like crucified and I guess died such a like embarrassing death, right? Because the Messiah was supposed to be a being that was supposed to be victorious, so it'd probably be the case that they would not choose to do so. But in historical scholarship, when they look at, okay, well, what's more likely to be true, they usually take things that I guess are going to be embarrassing for characters or things that, aren't going to paint them in a good light. They see that as being more historically reliable. Like the story where Jesus was in the temple and, was like kind of throwing those things around. They see that to be more historically reliable because it's a type of situation that could make Jesus, quote unquote, look bad.
Anything else?
Those are the first 2 arguments or 2 pieces of data that I think raise the probability of Jesus existing.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Occam's razor. I get the concept of it. I do. But are you aware that you could apply that to any fictional story and just say that the easiest way to explain this is that it's actually real?
No. I actually don't think it's going to be the same. Like, let's even take a situation like.
So you side with the group that has the magic stories, and you say that guy using Occam's razor must have been real.
No, right. The claim would be that he existed, but you wouldn't necessarily commit
the claims that he's existing are coming from who?
Yeah, it's going to come from people like Jews
who believed in the magic stuff.
No, but you can believe that without taking out the magic stuff, quote unquote.
Well,
because I
Okay.
think
So
there's
in
a,
other
'cause
words, you're
I think
saying,
there's a
hey, I'm
difference
going to take a
between.
text, I'm going to chop it into pieces, and then I'm going to determine when I want to apply Occam's razor to it. Because if I apply it to all of it, it's going to be bullshit. But if I carve out what I like and I carve out what I specifically want to treat like a buffet and pick and put on my plate, then I could apply Occam's razor to that, and my point is secure.
No, I think that's false, right? Because there's a
That's what
difference
you just
between
did. You just cast
there's,
out the
there's a
supernatural stuff.
there's a difference between someone existing versus the divinity.
I mean, I get that, but that's not what Occam's razor does. Occam's razor takes a look at what is presented and tries to figure out if this is either, it tries to figure out what's the simplest explanation for this.
Yeah, but that's included in Occam's razor, right? Because the
I
like you could say
understand,
that the
but
you could say
you're
that the
picking and
simplest.
choosing what parts of the Bible and what parts of the story to actually apply Occam's razor to.
No,
Because
I'm
you
not.
know
Because
that if you
you could just
apply
say that's
Occam's
false.
razor to the magic, then it wouldn't make any sense.
No, because you could easily just say that that's false, right? You could say it's the case
Yeah.
that the divinity
Yeah, that's
or that
kind of
the,
how
you know,
that
the walking on
works.
water. You could say that that's false, but
Yeah,
you could
and
still
so
believe
and
that
so
Jesus existed.
and
And then
so
you could just say
Occam's
that,
razor
and then you
would
could say
show that all of
no,
it's
and then
false,
you,
right?
no, it wouldn't.
Right.
Occam's
So
razor
in other
wouldn't
words,
show that. That wouldn't
if
be the
we have a
simplest
story,
explanation.
if we have a story of say Abraham Lincoln, and we have a story of say, never mind. I'm going to just use Harry Potter. If we take a look at Harry Potter and we apply Occam's razor to it, which is simpler, the idea that J.K. Rowling took the time to come up with all these different characters, all these different stories, all these different places, all these different spells, all these different abilities and stuff like that, and paint this entire universe that is kind of sort of related to ours, but also not in some way, where abilities and nature and physics change and stuff like that. It's really strange. Or that this actually happened and someone told her the story.
Yeah, so I would say that the simplest explanation, right, is that it's fiction, right? Because when you actually, look at the way in which it's written, right, it's written as fiction, right? It's written as something that's
Where
not,
does it say in Harry
pertaining
Potter
to.
that it's fiction?
What do you mean?
And I want you to point to me one. I want you to point to me one thing that shows that it's fiction in the story. Give me one example in Harry Potter that shows that it's fiction.
Well, rather, it would be the author, the way in which J.K. Rowling presents the book.
Sweet.
Right? She
It never
presents it
says
as
in the
fiction.
text that it is fiction. So I
No,
want you to point.
how did J.K.
Again,
Rowling present the
what
book?
we are going to do in order to continue this
Why would a
conversation.
fiction book say that it's
In
fiction?
order, exactly, and why would the gospel
That
say
doesn't
that
make
it's
any
bullshit
sense.
if it's
No, but
not bullshit?
no, but when you read the Gospels, right, it's written as a
Okay,
historical
so
narrative or a biographical text.
again, listen. I want you to point to me one instance or one example of Harry Potter books that shows that it is fiction. What is something in there? Give me one example of something in the Harry Potter books that shows that it is fiction.
Yeah, I reject the question. It doesn't make any sense. It's
You
going
said
to be
you said that it's written like fiction. I want you to give me one example of what is written like fiction. You made that claim.
Something that would raise the probability is that the author says that it is fiction.
Okay,
The author
they
wrote it
never
for
say that in the
fictional
text.
purposes. No, I'm saying J.K. Rowling when she talks about the
Sweet.
book. Have you seen her interviews?
have you talked to any of the authors of the Gospels?
No.
Okay,
But when
sweet.
you read
So
it-
that's
yeah,
not
but
what we're
when you
talking
read it,
about.
it's
We are
written as
the only thing that we
biographical
have
or
with the
historical
Gospels is just the text itself. We don't
Yeah, it's
have any
written as
other
a-
writings from these
written-
people.
it's written as a historical narrative or
I don't give a
biographical.
shit. Listen, Harry Potter has a birthday that's given. So that means it's apparently
doesn't-
something,
that
and he's
doesn't mean that
born
it's
somewhere that
historical.
we know actually existed, which is London. So please,
Yeah, that doesn't mean
if
that
you
it's
if you want to
historical
continue this conversation, you are going to have to give me an example to show me what part of the story indicates it is fiction, or what part do you see and you go, that is definitely fiction. What part of the story shows this?
Well, again, I already. So, okay, you want something within the text itself that shows you that it is
Yes,
fiction?
you claimed
Well, yeah,
that
I
it
just
is
want to
written
clarify the
as fiction, and I want you to show
Yes,
me.
because the author says that it is fiction.
You have one more opportunity, and you made a bunch of stuff. I took down some notes, and I'd love to get to the stuff, but you're going to have to answer this question, which supports what you had said earlier. You made a claim that said the text itself is presented as fiction. It's written as fiction. I want you to show me using the exact same amount of, or the exact same type of information that we have for the Gospels, which is the content itself and nothing else from the author, because we don't have anything from the authors of the Gospels, just the Gospels themselves. I want you to show me in the text of Harry Potter books, or what you know about them, that shows me that it is fiction. There is correct answers here. There are correct answers. There's plenty of them. There's plenty of examples of things in the Harry Potter books that show that it's fiction. The reason you don't want to answer it is because of the fact that you know exactly where this is going to go. Because that same bullshit that shows you that Harry Potter is fiction, the same things you would point to, are going to be the things that you can find in the Gospels. So, please, walk down this path and show us exactly where in this text you find something that screams, this is a fictional story.
Okay, cool. I'll say the lack of arguments in favor of wizards existing.
That's not in the text.
No, like what I'm saying is, like, when we look at the text, right, and we read it, and it says
wizards meaning. Oh, so you're just saying the fact that it says wizards exist, and we don't have any evidence that they do.
Yeah, like there's nothing in support of wizards.
So in other words, there is a concept of someone who does, let's say, supernatural feats in this story, and we don't have any evidence that that actually happens. Like in day-to-day reality, people don't actually do supernatural things. So therefore, we can know immediately that this book that says this stuff a lot is fake. It's fiction. Would you say that that's the case?
Well, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. Rather, what I'm saying is like...
What were you trying to say?
Yeah, here's what I'm saying more specifically. I'm not necessarily making some sort of museum inference where I'm like, well, it's the case when I look out into the world, I don't see these things transpiring, but it's transpiring in this book, therefore it's probably false. Rather,
no, you literally said the lack of evidence for wizards.
What I'm saying is that there's a lack of arguments in favor of wizards existing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Right? So in other words, there's lack of evidence of wizards, right?
But when we have the monotheistic arguments in favor of like the Christian God existing, right?
Slow down. So in other words, people like Harry Potter, who becomes a wizard, some boy who grows up and does supernatural feats and stuff like that, we don't have evidence of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, we don't have arguments in favor of wizards, or at least strong arguments in favor of wizards.
Do you know of any arguments in favor of wizards today?
I mean, there's probably people.
There's probably some, or
no, I mean,
of them?
I mean, people probably will want to make arguments, but I haven't heard any strong arguments.
Okay, so you don't know.
I haven't heard any strong arguments. For wizards,
so you don't know of any. Okay, have you heard any weak arguments for wizards today?
Yeah.
Okay, like what?
Like, what's it called when people kind of have that shaking thing? What's that called?
Are you talking about how like Benny Hinn, like the preachers and stuff, like make people shake and get healed?
No, I mean like the thing where like crap, I forget the name of what it's called. Not Parkinson's, it's called epilepsy. Epilepsy, yes, epilepsy, where people would try to say like that's the person like frothing at the mouth or whatever, being cast with something, but it's the case that that's not true.
Is articulation truth, or is truth articulation?
What on earth does that have to do with wizards, my man? Jaden, what are you talking about?
You said, have I seen people create weak arguments in favor of wizards? People have tried to use like epilepsy cases as arguments in favor of
wizards?
Yeah, because they'd say this person has had a spell cast on them or something.
By a wizard?
Yeah, people have made those arguments before. You asked me, have I heard a weak argument?
Okay. All right. So anyways, the point is, what I'm trying to say here is that if a lack of evidence for a claim, an outrageous claim in a book, shows that this book is fiction and that's how we determine that it's fiction, then we should be able to apply that to all books that we see, right?
Yeah, generally, yeah. However, when we look at like the story of like the Bible or like the monotheistic Christian God, right?
We're
There's
not
going to be
talking
strong.
about God. We're talking about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out whether or not he even walked on this earth. And when we have stories of a boy who grows up and does supernatural feats in front of his friends, we can see that and we can go, well, this is very clearly fiction. But then we read Harry Potter, and some people actually like that book.
You said they like it in so far as what?
They like it. People are big fans of it. It sells a lot of copies.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't see what that point is doing.
Well, you just said it was true that we can take a look at the story. I was talking about the Gospels when I said a boy grows up and does supernatural feats with his friends, and you said that was true? I said that was, we can know that that's fiction, and you said that's true?
What? No.
Yeah. Did you think I was explaining Harry Potter there? When I said a boy who grows up and does supernatural feats in front of his friends? You thought that was you thought that was me talking about Harry Potter?
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question? I got a little...
Yeah. So when
Yeah,
we
the
read a
question-
book about how a boy specifically like fulfills a prophecy and stuff like that that a whole bunch of people had known, including some people who apparently are Jewish. I don't know. They knew about this prophecy about this boy who was going to grow up and he does supernatural abilities in front of his friends. That we can tell that that's fiction, right?
Okay, so pretty much are you asking we can tell it's fiction insofar as we don't see these things occurring in our, like, I guess, natural experiences? Is that what's the claim?
Yeah. Generally speaking, these prophecies, you know, prophecies being foretold a long time ago, and then all of a sudden, you know, this boy grows up and does supernatural things in front of his friends and while hanging out with his friends and stuff and running around doing adventures. That'd be fake, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, but I
So
want to
what
make a
about Harry
distinction.
Potter?
So no, wait, I want to make a distinction here, right? So
Yeah.
in reference to what you're talking about right now,
Mhm.
insofar as the miracles and things of that nature, right? I think that
I
we're
didn't
kind
say
of
miracles. I said supernatural things.
yeah, the supernatural. Well, you could just call that a miracle. That's
You can
supernatural
call it
stuff.
magic too.
Yeah, right. But insofar as right, there's these
Mhm.
things that Jesus did that we say are out of accordance with what we see in natural reality. I
Okay.
think that we're going between two claims: one that of divinity,
Mhm.
and that of a man
And-
existing. Right.
No,
So we're kind
no,
of
one,
mismatching between two different
no. One is the claim that there's a supernatural reason as to why he can do the magic, and the other one is a supernatural reason as to why he can do the magic. I think that's the difference.
No, because at least when we're, I guess, distinguishing or delineating between
Mhm.
that of Jesus, right, and then that
Like
of Harry
Jesus
Potter.
was born with the ability to do the magic. That's right. Is that correct?
Well, again, I think we need to separate these two claims: that of Jesus's existence and that of Jesus's
Like,
divinity.
oh, okay. Like so,
Which one are you-
Jesus
which one
is
are you more-
divine because of who his parents or who his dad was, right?
No.
Right? No.
What I'm saying is that we need to separate.
How
these
did you
claims. When we're
how did you
talking-
determine that Jesus was divine?
You're divine.
Because of who his dad was, right? Because of where he
mean-
came from?
Look, what I'm saying is we need to delineate between these two questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how you determine that one of them is divine, but the other one somehow isn't born that way.
Well, what we're trying to determine is whether or not it's the case that it's a simpler explanation to believe that Jesus existed rather than the mysticism view.
Yeah, I know. And we're trying to compare this to
So
Harry
what I'm
Potter,
saying that-
which
so what
which
I'm saying is
apparently
that-
can use the same
What I'm saying is
it
that in
uses
order-
the same using the
so what I'm
same
saying-
using the same tool, Occam's razor, we can determine that Harry Potter is just as legitimate as the New Testament because there is a boy who has a prophecy about him, who is capable of supernatural feats because of who he comes from, like his lineage, and then he grows up and does supernatural things in front of his friends.
No, that's false, right? Because we have to look at the way that the texts are
So
written.
Jesus
Right, 'cause-
isn't born from God? Jesus isn't, that's not his father?
Here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that
Jesus has a father, and then he's
There's
capable.
no
So he's
natural.
capable of doing.
wait.
So he's
Wait,
capable of
Christ-
doing supernatural things, and
Here's
then
what I'm
he
saying.
finds 12 guys to run around with, and he does supernatural feats in front of them, right?
Look, here's what I'm saying. I
Right?
could be an atheist or an agnostic right now, and I could still believe that Jesus existed. Right?
I don't
so you
care.
appeal to.
I
is it
don't
the
care.
case
That's
that
not what
Jesus-
we're talking about. We're trying to
So you
figure
appeal
out
to
how
is-
you're able to
so you're
determine
appealing to
that
is
Harry
Jesus
Potter
divine?
doesn't. Harry
That's
Potter
not
doesn't make
relevant
the
to
cut.
question. That's
Okay.
not relevant to the question of whether or
So
not Jesus.
you have been muted because I'm the host, and you will stop talking when I'm talking. You have already done this way too much, and I've been way too lenient. You've been up here way longer than you should have been. You've been up here for 20 minutes and 25 seconds. I should have probably kicked you down somewhere around 4 to 5 minutes because you're not arguing in good faith. You came up here, you made some good points, I wrote them down, and I want to get to them, but you won't even address certain questions, specifically because of the fact that you know that it's dog shit. Your argument is awful, and you should feel like dog shit for even bringing it up. On one hand, we have a boy who, due to prophecy and his lineage, can perform supernatural feats and then grows up and does them in front of his friends. And on the other hand, we have the exact same shit. And you are saying that because we don't have evidence of wizards, one of these is fake, but because this one says he's God, he gets a pass. So I don't give a shit how much you appeal to Occam's razor. Special pleading fallacies absolutely are a thing. And that's what you're doing. You're saying that Jesus gets a pass because his supernatural abilities come from his divine nature versus Harry Potter's supernatural abilities, which come from, I don't know, just nature. It's silly. It's a nonsense argument that you have here, because the exact same tool that you apply towards the Bible can also be applied to literally any fiction book, and we can get the same result. It is easier for that fictional person to have just existed than for someone to have had to come up with it and explain all these different things. That's how that works. That's literally how anything works. So Occam's razor doesn't really do anything. It really doesn't. And you're specifically picking and choosing what parts to apply Occam's razor to. Your next point, though, because I do want to move on. You said, let's see, the criteria for embarrassment. But the criteria of embarrassment doesn't really hold up. You had mentioned that, like, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to present a Jesus who was crucified. You are aware of the concept of dying and rising gods, right?
All right, so I do have to get back to work, right? But that was a false mischaracterization of my.
Sounds good. Trevor Stewart Blakey or something? Here, I sent you an invite to unmute there.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, what you got, man?
Can you believe more than you disbelieve?
I have no idea what you're even asking. What's your evidence for Jesus or Paul?
Well, I'm just saying, can you believe more than you disbelieve?
That doesn't sound relevant to the topic. What's your evidence for Jesus or Paul?
Well, Trevor is actually a form of like placeholder name. It just means name, so it embodies every name. If you go to a place called Germany in Trier.
What the hell are you talking about?
Can we get back
In
on topic?
Trier.
What is the evidence for Jesus or Paul?
So there's a place in Trier, Germany, where Jesus's robe is.
Okay. And how do they determine it was Jesus's?
Well, apparently it's all hand woven. There's no seams.
Okay. How do they determine it was Jesus's?
It's very holy for like a standard of clothing, versus using a sewing machine and using toxic thread like the clothes that we're wearing
Literally
right now.
everybody who sewed anything together before the invention of the sewing machine sewed it by hand. What do you think they sewed it by?
They could use a loom.
foot?
They could use a loom and they could use metal tools to carve a loom.
That's a machine.
I know it's a machine, but it's more holy, I think, to use your hands to like finger knit.
So,
if you're gonna make clothes versus metallurgy and toxic smelting, and like no one wants to be a miner for resources. Mining is like blind rape and murder. Like using a phone is blind rape and murder. Essentially, because you're using slaves to mine the resources, and then just to legalize your creation that's in front of God.
I'm at soup! What do you mean you're at soup? I mean I'm at soup! What store are you in? I'm at the soup store! Why are you buying clothes at the soup store? Fuck you!
All right. Anyways, moving on to somebody else. Wow. That was weird. That was weird. That was really strange. That guy's brain was nothing more than two hamsters fighting over a wet sock. What's going on, Scott? What you got?
How's it going, brother? I just to clarify, I'm not either like for your argument or against it. I'm just kind of learning. So
Okay.
I'm not against it or for it. But I did hear a thing the other day that the book of Mark,
Mm-hmm.
from 21 to, it's like the last 12 verses or something like that were like
Yeah,
added.
16, 9 through 20.
And then it has something to do that the argument, like there was a guy Cassius in the Roman Empire. I might be mispronouncing his name, or Cassius or Caphius or something like that. But he was like Caiaphas. Yeah, sorry.
The high priest?
Well, the guy that I was reading, it's Dan McClellan. I'm sure you probably heard of him.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that guy, but he
I
basically
know how
said
he
that
feels about me.
he doesn't like you or he likes
Nah,
you.
he fucking hates me.
Why?
For starters, he doesn't understand data science. I'm a data scientist, and so he definitely knows of me and my data science co-partner, like our work and stuff like that. But he's really
Right.
scared of talking about it because he doesn't understand it. So he calls it math and computer type stuff.
But don't you guys just use an algorithm to study the Bible?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just, well, not an algorithm, but it's more of just a distance formula to study the Greek New Testament. He's kind of scared of it. That's just kind of how it goes. But that being said, what did he say in here? What's your what
Well,
are you
he's
getting at?
saying that there was a guy like in basically like 300 AD that was like mocking Christianity because he said at a certain point only Mary Magdalene was the witness to the resurrection of Jesus, and then they added those verses to Mark to make it more people saw it. And I wanted to know what you thought about that, whether there's any validity to that or not.
So I don't. I'm not really sure exactly where he's going with that. There's no real evidence that anybody had any kind of issue with the fact that women had seen the Jesus at the end. In 300, by the time 300 CE comes around, they would have had all the other gospels that talk about other people talking to Jesus. The
Which
first
is
gospel
kinda what I
published
was-
has Jesus talking to other people.
When did they add those verses? Do you know? Like when?
Yeah, that's just one specific story that just has it with the women. But I would say that it's sometime in the late 2nd century. So the 180s, 60 to 160, 180, somewhere in there is probably when they add it.
And then why do you think they added it?
No, well, they added it to make it just more in line with what the other texts are. It even has Jesus kind of like raising into heaven. So it's, or rising into heaven. It's
Right.
like it's like a mini ascension story there where, and it's not even really that small, but it's just kind of harmonizing it with like the Gospel of Luke, which is the other gospel that has him ascending. But this
Okay.
would have been fixed by the end of the 2nd century. I don't know why somebody in 300, which would be like the end of the 3rd, early 4th, would have any problem with Mark specifically. That's really weird.
The
Because
the
other
argument
gospels
that
say
I was
other
hearing,
stuff.
it was that the Christian like analytic, I think it was Capheus,
Caiaphas.
basically, or yeah, said that it was just only one witness, so then they added it. But what you're saying makes more sense. Like the timelines make a lot more sense, and yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand, while yes, Dan McClellan is a scholar, he's also an apologist.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's also a Mormon, and not just a Mormon, but an adult convert to Mormonism. So that
Yeah.
should tell you everything that you need to know about whether or not he actually like is going to be sincerely following truth claims, or if he's just going to be digging up anything and everything he can to continue pushing a particular story.
I've been in Utah for 17 years, and it was pretty eye-opening when I got out here with the, I don't know, they say LDS out here. That I guess the term Mormon's like a negative term or something. I don't know.
They say that it's like a slur or something, but I mean,
I don't know.
No, I mean your fucking book says Book of Mormon. Like we're gonna call you
Right.
Mormons.
right.
It's better than calling you Pearls of Great Price.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways.
Where are you guys at? You guys are down in Texas, or?
Yep. Me and my co-author, we are based in North Texas. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna buy your book and check it out. I think I would love to hear you and McClellan have like a.
I think a
Not
lot
a
of people
debate.
would, but he blocked
It would
me
be awesome.
because I actually did get into a little bit of a conversation about Nazareth with him, and he didn't have a response, so he just blocked me.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Well, the
pointed
fact
out
that
that
you're-
Nazareth is not mentioned in the Old Testament, the Quran. Well, the Old Testament, it's not mentioned in the Apocrypha. It's not mentioned in intertestament books. It's not mentioned by Philo. It's not mentioned by Seneca. It's not mentioned by Josephus. It's not mentioned in maps or any kind of lists. It's not mentioned in the Mishnah. It's not mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud. It's not mentioned in the Jerusalem Talmud. And he was trying to argue that Nazareth was a place at the beginning of the first century, and it just wasn't. And he didn't have a response to that, so he just blocked.
Well, and Josephus, wasn't he like wasn't he taking like censuses across like the entire, like how would he not have that city somewhere?
Well,
written down?
Josephus was actually from Galilee, which is where Nazareth is supposed to be. And he never mentions it. He writes all kinds of books, mentions all kinds of towns around the area. Never mentions
Well, like I
Nazareth.
said, I mean, I don't know that if I'm 100% behind your guys' argument. I just enjoy hearing it. It's always interesting when I click on TikTok and you guys are on. So you and your co-author, good on you. I'll buy your book and
well, thank you.
Guys, out later. I'll let you go on to the next caller. But you guys keep doing what you do.
All right, thank you very much. W. Scott there. W. Scott. The book that he's talking about, by the way, is Christ Before Jesus. It is available for $3. The ebook is $3. It's available on Amazon. Just search for Christ Before Jesus. If you're on TikTok, you can actually click the link on my bio. What is going on? William Sandberg. Oh, there we go. William Sandberg.
Hey, what's up? Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, by the way, yes, it is on Audible as well, read by me and my co-author.
Actually, you know what? That's how I read it. So,
oh, nice.
quote unquote, read it. So it's actually been a while. It was last summer that I listened to it. So I am just curious. I know, is it mostly, because for me, I guess the journey with both Jesus and Paul, like historicity, I feel like as a non-specialist, like the most rational like position I can have is just like null or agnostic about it.
I understand.
So
yeah,
what
I
is like
understand.
the deciding factor? Is it like your stylometric analysis of
No, that just
Paul's
helps.
writings?
No, that just helps like give a backbone to the claims that we already had for when these things come out. That's all that is. Stylometry wouldn't be able to necessarily prove exactly that someone didn't exist, not necessarily, but it would show us like if these certain texts are authentic to who they say they're authentic to, or who they say they're written by. It would also be able to help us get an idea as to when these texts actually show up, or at least verify what we already see in our theory and in history as well. Dr. Masiej Eater, who is the one who is actually the mathematician behind the distance formulas that we use, he has said that, and he definitely knows about us, and there's a duo that, or like some partners that had worked in like tech before, and they wanted to put together this website that was focusing on stellometry and everything, and they actually interviewed, but they met with Matthew and I a couple times, and we discussed some things there. They actually interviewed Masiej Eater, and in their interview with him, they brought us up. They alluded to us, and he knew of us. He definitely knows about like what we've done, and he never once said that you can't do what we say that we do. He just says that whenever you're taking a look at things, you got to make sure to also understand the history of it, because what you get in a dendrogram, which is the graphs that we get from stellometry, like showing, oh, hey, this text is most likely this author and distant from this author, that kind of thing. You've got to understand what you're looking at, and that's something that actually the people who were interviewing them, that duo, those two partners who we had talked to, that was something that they couldn't really wrap their head around. Is they felt like with stellometry, we should be able to just get like an immediate result and it should be super easy. And it's like, no, there is some nuance to it, because you have to not only understand the graph and understand how these things are working, but also you need to compare it to what we have in history so that you can try to figure out what the hell you're looking at. It's really important to take a look at it from not just a data science point of view, but a historical point of view as well.
Well, that definitely makes sense. I mean, I really like at least stylometry is like a data point, because it's a lot more scientific than what a lot of historians do. So
right. Well, I think there's a lot of guesswork, unfortunately. And a lot of things, unfortunately, are actually dated using the Bible, even though the Bible is dated based on them. For instance, there's a stone that was found in Corinth that was part of a walkway, and it had the name Erastus on it. It said this pavement was paid for by Erastus, and Erastus is mentioned as like a city works official in the book of Romans. And so people said that stone dates to the first century or the middle of the first century, because of Paul. And so if you looked up, what's the evidence for Paul? It would say the Erastus stone. But then you look up the evidence for the Erastus stone, and it says it's dated to the first century because of Paul. And so, circular. Yeah, it's circular. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. So,
well, that is like the prime evidence, right? That people cite, like for Paul, like the
Erastus and Aretus, and yeah.
Okay, so then what is like the deciding factor? And pardon me, because like I said, it's been a while since I read your book. So, what is the deciding factor that makes you like more certain that Paul didn't exist, rather than that he did?
For Paul?
For Paul, yeah. Jesus, I mean...
Well, it'd be the later writings. We see that these writings appear along a second century writers as opposed to first century writers. And the first time that we get anything from him is in 144. We don't have any mention of Paul prior to this. We just don't. And I think this is very telling, because Paul is supposedly this person who brushes shoulders with all these different Roman judges and politicians. He appeals to Caesar. He's apparently on the same ship that gets wrecked as Josephus was. Like it's all kinds of things. It's very clearly something that it's very clearly a person with a biography that is presented in the New Testament that just didn't exist, and they're pulling it from prior sources. I mean, hell, the conversion story alone, and this is something that I found out not long ago, and so I like to remind everybody, the conversion story alone for Paul is not only contradictory in Acts because he says different things about like who saw the light versus who heard the sound, that kind of thing, but he also, or it also says that whenever he falls to the ground, he hears Jesus's voice, and Jesus says, "It's hard for thee to kick against the pricks." This is a direct quotation of Dionysus in the play The Bacchae, who says the same thing to a man who's persecuting his church. And it's like, okay, this is very obviously something that is lifted from prior influences, things that these Greek writers would have been aware of, and so they put into that story.
Yeah, well, one of the simplest things for Jesus that I feel like can make one suspicious about historicity is like the mythic elements. So, like just looking at it like from a simple lens, I guess. So I see that with Paul too, especially how he's portrayed. He does a bunch of miracles in Acts, right? So,
yeah, and one of the miracles is him like surviving a poison or a venomous snake bite on the island of Malta, but Malta doesn't have any venomous snakes, and it never has. So it's like, what? It's just stupid. It's just a story.
Okay, and then so like, am I wrong that like you think like Marcion and like his school wrote Paul?
Yeah, they publish and present Paul there in the 2nd century. They present him, and then people like the story. They give him more of a backstory in Acts and stuff like that. They liked him, but they don't like Marcion's theology, so they kind of rip Paul from Marcion's kind of grasp, if that makes sense. In Acts, it straight up says that Paul preached the gospel around the empire, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow for him to go and preach in Marcion's home province.
Do you think like the character of Paul originated like completely like from the Marcionites?
I would say that it's most likely, and this is a bit speculative, but I would say that it is most likely a pseudonym or a placeholder for Marcion himself. Like they're talking about Marcion, but they're just calling him Paul, which Paul means the small one. So and Marcion just means little Mark.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like I don't know. I hear the things you're saying, like the later like pseudonymous writings, like suspicious biography, like contradictions with Acts, like the kind of fantastical stories around him would for you point to why he didn't exist. I don't know. I don't want to like
Yeah, more or less. I mean,
oversimplify it either.
Well,
but
it's just the way that the New Testament presents him just doesn't line up with history. There's even instances in Acts where he mentions going to multiple synagogues in Jerusalem before the temple is destroyed in 70, and that doesn't make any sense. There's no synagogues in Jerusalem before the temple's destroyed. That doesn't make sense.
Like some of these anachronisms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I think I don't know. I've been interested lately in like as far as like how like Bayesian analysis can apply to history. And so like I think one of the things I'm challenged by is like looking at all these different factors, and then you have to like really work out very granularly whether it can be explained by like one hypothesis or the other, right?
I mean, I guess like Bayesian stuff, like it's cute, but it's not how we'd be able to really determine much because it relies so much on like your assumption. It's 100% tied to the bias of the person who's running it. It's
Yes,
not going
I
to give
agree,
us like an
I agree.
unscientific way of, or it's not going to give us a scientific way of looking at something. because you have to
Well,
assume
you
certain
don't.
things and then put it into it. You have to make assumptions. It's like running
Right, right.
stellometry under what's called the supervised method, where you say this is one author, this is one author, this is one, we already know what the authors are, and then we tell stellometry or the stylometric analysis software to go and find texts that line up with this person. And that's not how we're supposed to do it, because that is bringing in our biases, bringing in our presuppositions into the history. So we felt like the most scientific way to do it is to run unsupervised and basically say, you go out and find the connections. We're not going to tell you what they are.
Okay. You don't think that like Bayesian like a Bayesian analysis even provides like just even a model like for the reasoning?
No, not at all.
Okay,
Stellometry
and
is
you're
how we
saying
build a
that's 'cause, like,
house. Bayesian theorem
gar-
is how we maybe, I don't know, put together some Legos or something. Like it's just cute. That's all it is.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So then my other question was, I don't know if are you familiar with John Gleason at all?
Yeah.
He goes by like Godless Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So I have read like some of like, I mean, I listened to John Gleason. I've read like your book, Christ Before Jesus, and I'm also familiar. I don't know. I have other people on my list. I'm very interested in the Paul analysis. I've read like the Jesus analysis, so like Carrier's on the historicity of Jesus, and like I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to a library, but I know this Nina Livesey. She has some pretty interesting ideas and makes like a good literary case. It seems like for why Paul is not real. But recently John Gleason had like, I don't know, it was like a couple hours where he went through some of the data science behind your book. I didn't know if, I was just curious to see if you were familiar with that or had listened to it at all.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know if like you had, I was convinced, obviously, like reading your book, that like, I don't know, I felt like it was some like harder evidence than you usually get for people making claims in this arena. So but then also like I'm in the process of getting an IT degree, but
Nice.
so I'm not like a data scientist by,
You're
by any
peripheral
means.
to it.
Yeah, I'm just doing like little things right now for class. So but it seemed like they had some like, I don't know, it sounded like some valid like maybe commentary on like your methodology.
Yeah. Anybody
I
who
don't know if-
thinks like Carrier presented during that live or during that presentation, anybody who thinks that we run the English version of the Bible is not going to be arguing against us in a intellectually honest way.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that's one thing. I didn't even have that top of mind, but yeah, they did talk about that. How they seem to be under the impression that you had put in the English version as opposed to, or
Also,
that
on top of that, what you could do is you could actually search. While Richard Carrier is a scholar, he is generally kind of laughed at by other scholars and does not have any kind of place in academia because of his particular stance on some things. That being said, an actual respected scholar known as M. David Litva has actually reached out to Matthew and I, my co-author, because of our work in stellometry, and has cited us in some videos that he's made here recently using the same software that we use and showing dendrograms. And his contention is that the earliest Pauline letters are there in the 2nd century. Again, it's fine. It's whatever. I understand that Carrier's got a job to protect, and he feels like people are kind of stepping on his toes. And GE, Godless Engineer, is nothing more than his representative on YouTube and TikTok that just regurgitates old hat. That's all that it is. But that's how it works. Stilometry doesn't really give a shit about your feelings, and as Richard Carrier admitted in his blog post about me and my co-author and our work in stilometry, he mentioned that he didn't actually properly vet the book and thought that it was possible that we were just one author claiming to be two. So he didn't do any research, meaning he was just all up in his feelings. So that's just kind of how it works.
Okay, is like the dendrograms, those are like the branching trees, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's another book that is there's another
So I
book that's
think
peer
another
reviewed,
criticism of
and
theirs-
one second. There's another book called Counting Paul. I think it's from Benjamin White. I think came out in last year. So it is another one. It uses the software that we used, and it talks about Paul.
Stylo.
It uses Stylo, and it's again from an actual respected scholar who is part of academia. So no, like anyone who is talking shit about the data science usually is people who I don't know of anybody who is talking shit about Stylo and how we use it that actually knows anything about it. Like, truth be told.
Okay, well, I think I don't know, like I said, I'm not a data scientist, but I remember, like, besides the language criticism, which you're saying that it was a Greek version that was put into...
Did we say that on the book?
It's been a year, man, sorry.
Yes, of course it was the Greek.
The Greek, okay, and then I don't know if it was only the language being put in, but also like the analysis like setting in Stylo. But okay. Well, the other thing I think was about dendrograms.
What about them?
I think they were talking something about like that there are other analyses that you can do in
There are
Stylo
in Stylo.
besides. Gotcha. And so
it's not going to
do
show
you
you anything
cons-
different, but okay. I mean, we
Okay.
did others.
you-
It's just the dendrograms are the easiest things to actually like display. We can also tie it in with a program called Gephi, Gephi, and Gephi does a really good job of kind of clustering it out and everything. Both Gephi and Stylo are both used by the scholar Benjamin White, who came out with his book Counting Paul. It's published by Oxford Press. So again, the people who were talking about this are not data scientists, or at least not data scientists who have anything to do with stilometry or stylometric analysis. And it's people who, again, throughout the hours that live was, and throughout the hours that presentation was given, Richard Carrier was still making claims a couple hours in that we were running the English. It is obvious that these people don't know what they're talking about. They don't even really know what we have said. So they're not going to be arguing from a place of good faith.
Okay, well, I just try to avoid operating on arguments like that. Like I wouldn't
I understand. Well,
necessarily
what I would do
write
is
them
I
off.
would read things from actual data scientists who know stuff about stilometry and have applied this using the same
Like, you
software that
don't-
we use.
Sorry, pardon me. You wouldn't want to be written off because you're not like a specialist in like, early Christian or New Testament
So
studies.
the reason why
try
I
to
talk
avoid-
the reason why I talk about this kind of stuff is because I have applied what I have seen and what I have actually gone to school for to the Greek New Testament. That's what I do. I'm also going to write off anybody who tries to speak on this particular topic if they don't know what my argument is. So do not compare me to them, because I'm not making claims about what they do after not reading what they've said. That's not what I do. I actually understand what someone is saying, and I quote them correctly, and I quote them directly when I talk about this is their stance.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bearing with me because, you know, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's a lot of competing information, so...
Well, what I would do is maybe not listen to the person who admits on his blog that he hasn't really read the book.
Yeah. I don't know. I sense that maybe you're defensive, or...
I'm defensive because someone is talking about me and also admitting they haven't read the book. If you had a book out and someone said that it's dog shit, but also said I haven't read it, then maybe you would be a little upset about the fact that they're trying to critique it and try to say that it's bad without actually knowing what's in it. And if they continue to talk about it, and while they're continuing to talk about it, they're still making claims about it that I don't make, that's pretty bad.
I'm just a reader, you know, so like I'm trying to wrap my brain around things like dendrograms, you know,
right,
or
and that's fine.
about
That's fine.
historicity.
So if you don't want to listen to me and you don't, okay,
sir, sir, you don't have to get snippy with me. I'm just trying to.
I'm not being snippy.
Trying to understand these things, you know.
I'm not being snippy, William. What I'm saying is, if you want to look into it, you don't have to listen to me you don't have to listen to me or to Carrier. You could go and listen to people who actually are scholars who are talking and using this particular software, like Gephi and Stylo, like who I just mentioned multiple times.
I gotta say, you saying that's a little belittling, because I'm willing to listen to many different opinions and different information.
That's fine.
And I think that's why I'm on this live with you, asking you questions in addition to what I've already learned.
I'm not belittling you, man. I'm saying if you don't want to listen to
more too. I'm interested in this stuff. So yeah, I appreciate your time. Those were just a few things that stuck out in my brain as I was.
All right. Yeah, he's been blocked. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about there. All right. That's really weird. Okay. If anybody's got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Yeah, it seemed like he had an agenda. That was really strange. All right. All right. The Jerusalem Talmud states there were 480 synagogues in Jerusalem before 70 CE. Not in Jerusalem, like, okay. So, first of all, that's ridiculous. Secondly, no, that's actually something that is talking about, it's actually a particular reference to something else. I actually looked into that. That would be good evidence, but it's never used as evidence by like scholars because it's very specifically talking about something else there. All right, let me see here. Yeah, these are post 70. This isn't pre 70. Yeah. No. And it's talking about a synagogue in Alexandria in that section. It doesn't even say the word Jerusalem. So no. What was happening there? What was happening there was he was just asking some questions about some stuff, and then eventually just moved into the GE thing, and I was just kind of explaining very calmly why that's not really an issue or anything like that, even pointed to some other scholars. And yeah, that's about how it goes. Post me. Post what? What? Yeah, he wasn't making headway, so for some reason he went meta. Just come out and say it. Well, Gene Carrier said this. No need later on the bush. And that's fine. It's okay. I mean, I understand what they said, but I mean, yeah. All right. And then what was weird near the end was he was like, you don't have to get snippy. I'm like, I'm not being snippy. I'm just having a conversation. I'm trying to explain to you that, like, there are other scholars you can talk to if you, or other scholars you can read if you want to read on this without getting caught between, like, Jaron said this, G said this, you know, that kind of thing. Fine. Go to a scholar who actually does the work on this and see what they say. Yeah, it was fine. And again, if you find yourself in a situation where you don't know if you should listen to person X or Y, and person X has a book, and person Y says X is wrong and I've never read his book. I'm not saying you have to listen to X. I'm just saying Y, you should pretty much immediately know that Y doesn't know what he's talking about. or there's a good chance Y is misrepresenting what X has said. That's kind of how that works. Yeah, consider your sources. What is going on with Aaron? What is happening? How good is the book Counting Paul? Matthew, so I know of it because Litva actually shared it with us. And Matthew told me not long ago, he's like, I don't know if you have mentioned Counting Paul or if anybody's brought it up, but you need to start mentioning that on the live. It straight up uses the software that we use. And we use Gephi as well, and we wanted to put Gephi into the book, but we ended up not being able to really. Excuse me. So the point is, it uses the software that we use and is from a scholar published by Oxford Press that says a lot of the same shit we're saying. And it's like, damn, that's pretty good. Like, even though it's not like citing us, because I think it was written at the same time that our book was like being written and it came out and stuff like that. At the same time, it is a pretty big testimony to how we operate and how we view things and stuff like that, and how we take a look at it. All right. I don't know what's going on both YouTube and... Yeah, as Brian said in the chat there on YouTube, there was so not a snippy thing. That was weird. I was like, I'm not getting snippy, man. But I can tell that you're wanting me to, I guess. I don't know what's going on. I think we're back. That was really weird. The good thing about streaming to YouTube is that it actually will tell me on here, like, the internet speed. Like, it's constantly monitoring the internet speed, which is nice. Something happened. But we're back. We're back. All right. Yeah, he was trying to get a reaction or something. All right. If I don't know who that is. If you have any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Yeah, maybe. A clip to show Jaren is just mad, and it's like, no, nah, I'm good, perfectly fine. Did you get into, no, it's the same camera. It's just when it's used by TikTok Studio, it's a little, but then it's being ran through YouTube. Well, it's being ran through OBS and into a virtual camera that then goes into TikTok Studio, and somehow that's like a little better or something. Doesn't make any sense. But looking crisp. I don't understand why. Oh my God. All right. It's not the beauty filter. There's no filter. No, there's no filter. This is actually closer to what I look like than what TikTok had before, because it had a slight thing on or something, or I think it did, or I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it had on. No, it's not a beauty filter. Definitely not a beauty filter. I don't even know how to turn those things on. I had no idea you had a scar. I do? Where? What scar? Hold up the mask. Does it still have eyebrows? It might on TikTok, because it might still be looking for the thing. Here, let me see. I'm looking at it on OBS. Does it have it on TikTok? Maybe it... I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I don't fucking know. The Spendly filter on? Nope, they're gone. Oh, you're talking about the scar on my forehead. So, all right. I've had 2 takes on this scar. Either it looks like a spoon or it looks like a tomahawk, and I'm not really sure which exactly it is. I don't know, but there's a scar apparently on my forehead. I don't know how I got it. I think if I remember correctly, it was because I walked into a table when I was a little kid. I think so. And then by little, I mean like I was like 2. Or at least that's kind of the story that I remember being told. But that was from, yeah. Anyways. Looks like a line? Oh no, it's not a line. I don't have a Harry Potter scar. Looks like a Little Dipper. Looks like a wand. Is it really that noticeable in here? Yeah, kinda. Oh, like right there. No, it's because like I don't know. You can't really see it, but there's part of it. It's a little higher, It's a little wider, so it ends up looking a little bit more like a spoon or something. Not my wand. Wait, you're Harry Potter? I might be Harry Potter. I might be. From Dino Age. You're the boy that lived. Yeah, kind of phallic actually. You're a wizard, Jorka. Perfect for sitting on. Ayo! All right. Over on YouTube, Captain Hammer Corporate Tool says, what would be your reason on why the Gospels would say Jesus would return and before the disciples died if it was written after the disciples died? Because of the fact that it's not really meant to be something that is said to the people there or said to the people at the time. It's not a real story. It's meant to be read aloud to the people who are listening to it, like in Mark. There's a verse that got added. What was it? I was actually looking at it the other day. There was a verse that got added to the text that basically tried to imply that, like, hey, everything's okay. Like, I understand that some people have died, but we're still okay. And I think it's a later addition to the text. What's going on? Shoes Live. I might go over that later on, like a subscriber only live or something like that. I might go over that because there was some pretty cool stuff that Matthew and I found yesterday, just kind of digging around in some in First Clement. It's some interesting stuff. Shoes Live, you there? Oh, I guess Shoes Live left. There was Shoes Live or something like that tried to come up. I don't know. Oh my God. All right. Yeah, probably. It must be hot in the UK. Oh yeah. It's a full moon over there in the UK. No. Are able to give super chats? I don't think so. I think to get like to do the super chat thing, I think I have to have like a crazy amount of watch hours or something. Which, by the way, gets added up if there's more people watching on YouTube, that helps gain the watch hours and stuff like that. So if like 25 people watch an hour-long stream, then that's 25 watch hours, which is pretty cool. So the idea is to go live for as long as possible and have as many people watch there on YouTube. And once I hit a certain amount, then YouTube does a manual check where they go in and they check to make sure everything's legit, and then they update it and stuff like that. That's why I'm here. Well, thank you very much. And to say unhinged shit. Well, you're definitely saying unhinged shit over there. 29 cents in my bedroom? Oh, no, 29 Celsius. Okay, 29 Celsius. Almost double it. So, almost 58. Call it 55. Call it 55. Add 32. That's going to be 87? I would say that's 87 Fahrenheit. Let's see. God damn it, it's 84. Okay. You almost I was just too high on the doubling part. All right. It's 84. Okay. I said 87, but 84. I was close. Yeah, Queen said high 80s. You know, the fun part, Queen, are you actually on YouTube? Are you on YouTube or both, or are you just on TikTok? Fine, subscribed on YouTube now too. Okay, well, I'm not making you do it, fluffy dragon pants. But thank you. Slime should lead you down the wrong path. Who? No, this is for the really cool kids. Oh, okay. They're over there. All right, okay. I was wondering. W Flippy. Okay. I felt pressured. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. TikTok crew sounding it. No. Okay. Everybody's leaving and go. Go over there. You guys are ridiculous. Okay, stop it. All right. Anyways, it doesn't look like we have anybody coming up. I don't think I should do another restart. I think they'll be back. I'm here. Okay. Jesus. Deep Sea Strolls, Joe Penis, and the Shroud of Turkey checkmated. See, you can say all kinds of things over there. Don't hurt my dog, please. I'm watching on YouTube. Jake said, "I'm I'm in this chat, but watching the TikTok stream." That's okay. Oh, you okay? Anyways,
I like turtles.
if there's anybody who has any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. Otherwise, I'll hop off here in like 5 minutes. Were shrouds a common thing? I think to some extent, kind of, sort of, they were. I mean, the Bible doesn't say that he was wrapped in there, but I mean, again, it's kind of just nonsense. I mean, there's been sheets that have been placed over dead people for a really, really long time. So it's not as if it's just a thing that was going on in the first century. It was used before that. It's used after that. So it's like, okay. But it doesn't even really match the description that John gives. And again, the shroud itself is woven together using something, the technology of something, a loom, something that's shows up later than the first century. Deep Sea Scrolls. You understand how Gematria explains 616 and 666? So I don't know the exact coding for it, but I mean, either way, it's just kind of silly stuff. Thank you very much for subscribing there, Edward's Dilemma. This is Error 414. Just, oh, okay, cool. Covering all the bases. Love it. Keep my seat warm. Oh my god. I don't know what is going on with Sweet Pea, but Sweet Pea.
It's illegal for you to ask me that.
Okay. So, what about the socks that are evidence of a loom that are decade? I don't even know what that is. I came here just for that. Obviously, we have evidence of Jesus. Have you looked at the trees? No, I haven't. Plead the fifth. She wild in the day. Absolutely. Isaac said, was Buddha a real historical figure? Honestly, I haven't looked into it. I'm just like with Jesus. Before looking into it, I'll go ahead and, man, I don't have good evidence for him, but I don't have any evidence against it. I don't know anything about him. I'm going to say that I'm agnostic to it. I honestly have no idea. Or not agnostic, but I'm just kind of, I don't know. What about Moses? Moses didn't exist. Yeah, well, yeah, I understand. I don't know how it calculates to Nero in the Caesar Nero, but I understand that number. I understand what it's in relation to. I just don't understand how it goes to it. Buddha probably was a real person, but it wouldn't change the Dharma if he wasn't real. Yeah, I don't think he really matters really too terribly much. But I don't know anything about. But the pew to my head, I'd say yes, he did exist. But I don't know enough about him to really talk about it really. So apologize. Yeah, it's only slightly. Gematria is nuts. That's kind of Gematria. It's just kind of codes or something like that. But like Gematria can get wild. Washman says on YouTube, I think Buddha and Horus were both earthly incarnations reborn over and over. Interesting. Emily Neptune says, thoughts on the... I don't know what that is. What is that? What is that? I don't know what that is. TT there on TikTok says, so do you believe in Christ and just not Jesus? Come on up. We'll have a conversation about it. I don't really understand your question per se, but please come on up. Let me know what you're talking about there. I can't. I'm at work. Oh, okay. Steve says, are you an atheist? You sent us to Ace, but she seems to believe in new age crystal magic and stuff. Really? I don't know. Ace seems, it's fine. Since you get, look, over the last couple of weeks, I have sent you to all kinds of places that I didn't really know a lot about before I sent it. But what I can say about Ace is that I am friends with Ace. I personally know Ace. I've been on Ace's panel multiple times. I like Ace. I stand by Ace. Now, if she believes in magic and stuff, I'm probably not going to agree with that, like personally, but nevertheless, Ace is still cool. Ace is the place with a helpful hardware store. Doody-doo. Hey, there's Ace. Yeah, hi. Yeah. I don't know her stance on magic. It doesn't really fucking matter to me. I don't generally decide who to go to after a live based on their opinion of magic. Ace has been here.
Arby's, we have the meats.
All right. Ace be hiding. Oh yeah, Ace be hiding. Okay. All right. So unfortunately, we have reached the point. I need the meats. Oh my God, Sweet Pea. Jesus Christ. If it's not Hanji, it's Sweet Pea. And if it's not Sweet Pea, it's Hanji. If it's not either of them, it's both of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
All right. Anyways. Or Izzy Mike. Or yeah, if it's not Sweet Pea or Hanji, it's Izzy Mike.
Bruh.
All right. If it looks like we can't, it looks like we don't have anybody else who's coming up. So thank you to anybody and everybody who stuck around longer than 30 seconds. 35-second gang, rise up. I would like to at least mention that as I try to move over towards like YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, at the same time, there's a little bit of like transitional kind of stuff where there's some issues of like how things are working and what I need to do and stuff like that. So thank you for bearing with me as we go through some of these changes here. One of these changes is primarily, and I know that this is a little weird, but one of these changes is primarily centered around like GIFs and stuff like that. And typically speaking, over on TikTok, it'll send me notifications whenever people do things, and I can actually like respond. I don't know. There may have actually been quite a few people who sent over like the little cowboy things and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know how that happens. So I apologize. I'm going to try to find a way to kind of have TikTok screen and the YouTube screen open at the same time. But it's tough because the YouTube screen is what I need to have open in order to actually pull open like the windows and stuff because it streams over to TikTok. But the TikTok one is the one that shows me all the little GIFs and stuff like that you send me. So thank you very, very much for sending any GIFs. It's definitely appreciated. Absolutely. Not required, but definitely appreciated. But I will say that I'm trying to figure all this out. And in the meantime, if you did want to help out with the stream or anything like that, there is this particular, at least on TikTok, I just put up the little Cash App thing. It's a $CBJ book. So that is their Cash App. It's just CBJ book. And you can definitely help out that way. Someone had asked a question, and I don't necessarily want to dox them per se, but they had asked a question earlier today. They said, "Hey, what would you charge to come in and do like a Q&A session on the live?" And I'd never really been asked that before. Lots of times it just kind of happens, it just kind of happens, but not for a set amount of time. So I wanted to make sure that it was a certain amount of time and everything. And I said, if you want me to come in and do like some kind of a like an interview, kind of meet and greet kind of thing. And so I told him it would be like $20 for 2 hours. And so here before too terribly long, there's going to be an opportunity for people to come up and ask questions and stuff like that. And I would absolutely open that up to friendlies. If you guys want to come up and ask questions where normally I generally accept like ops and stuff like that, I absolutely want to answer any questions as possible. Make me work for that $20. Make me work for it. So yeah, I mean, there's different ways that I guess, I've tried to raise money for CBJ and tried to allow for, Matthew to be compensated for all the work that he's doing currently right now on this book as we're waiting for it. But I'm trying. I'm trying new things out and everything like that. And I know Justin had said, hey, you need to focus a little bit more on YouTube. As you work more on that kind of thing, you'll get to like the point of super chats, which is what somebody had asked about earlier. So thank you very much for all the support that you guys give. It is awesome. I try my best to be a wealth of knowledge for this topic and this field and stuff like that, as much as I can. But of course that does require justification, not just justification, for me, but justification for my wife and my family. Like I need to be able to show that, that there is a little bit of help financially coming in to be able to justify sitting in front of a screen for hours on end, talking about Jesus and Paul and people's moms. So thank you very, very much for all the support and everything like that you guys have shown. That's awesome. That's all that I'm really trying to say. And I apologize for any of the weird transitional shit as we move to YouTube and TikTok. So I apologize for that. Anyways, thank you very much. Yes, W2 support and yay moms, all that kind of stuff. So I will, race for the cure. Yeah. And of course, all the donations and everything like that were made during that time period, we already donated. There were some people who donated directly to Joyful Hearts Foundation. And we were able to bring in $93 here directly on TikTok or on TikTok, our TikTok stream. So we donated all of that. All of that went straight to Joyful Hearts. So thank you very much for donating there. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Again, thank you to anybody and everybody who stuck around longer than 30 seconds. 35-second gang, rise up. Aww. Also, peace out, Girl Scout. Put me down for some Thin Mints.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys later. If Ace is on, we can go over there and we'll go raid Ace. We'll see how that goes. But thank you very much, guys. Thank you for coming around and watching today. Thanks for all the lovely conversations. Let's go over and raid Ace. I will see you guys later. There it is. And on YouTube, as this is still going, because you guys are crazy, I will see you guys later as well. Let me see. Do I have a sound for... What do I got for... Here we go. Oh, here's Ash's sound. Love it. All right. See you guys later.